North!
I am the sword in the darkness. I am the watcher on the walls.
Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please let me home? Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please let me home? Take me down, so far away. Take me down, so far away.
Hello, my sweet summer children. I'm back with the juice to get you through the long. Hello, sweet summer children. We are here to talk about Jon Snow tonight on DireWolfCity, and I am joined by my DireWolfCity co-host, and we cannot wait to get into the juice. Hey, everybody.
Hey. I'm so pumped about this.
Hey. Yeah. So we've been wanting to talk. So if you guys didn't know, the reason DireWolfCity was born was because we recorded a podcast together, and it was supposed to be about the whole entire North, and it wound up being like 2 parts, 3 hours each. So it was like, we should just do live streams about this, and it's DireWolfCity was born. So we're going to be talking about Jon Snow. That's who you voted for. So at the end of the stream today, you guys will be able to decide where we go to next. That's one. And also, there's going to be a little trivia. And whoever wins gets a prize. So, yeah, we're going to have fun tonight. So where should we start with Jon? Should we start where we left off with him in Dance?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. So in Dance of Dragons, the last... I'll actually read it to you because, you know... I love you guys like that. So I'll just read it to you. So Jon, 1-1 is like freaking out. And Jon goes over and he says, he's trying to tell them to put away their swords so 1-1 will stop freaking out. And he gets stabbed. And he says, why? For the watch. Wick slashed at him again. This time, Jon caught his wrist and bent his arm back until he dropped the dagger. The gangling steward backed away, his hands upraised as if to say, not me. It was not me. Men were screaming. Jon reached for Longclaw, but his fingers had grown stiff and clumsy. Somehow, he could not seem to get the sword free of its scabbard. Then Bowen Marsh stood there before him, tears running down his cheeks. For the watch. He punched Jon in the belly. When he pulled his hand away, the dagger stayed where he had buried it. Jon fell to his knees. He found the dagger's hilt and wrenched it free. In the cold night air, the wound was smoking. Ghost, he whispered. Pain washed over him. Stick them with the pointy end. When the third dagger took him between the shoulder blades, he gave a grunt and fell face first into the snow. He never felt the fourth knife, only the cold. They did Jon so dirty. And I hate Bowen Marsh. God, I hate him.
So objectively, I can't stand him either. He'd be super, super annoying. However, from the standpoint of Bowen Marsh being at the wall as long as he has and not really understanding where Jon is coming from, I'm not saying it makes sense that they would give him the Julius Caesar treatment because that's completely and utterly out of line.
Yeah.
Because he even said, like, I'm not making the Night's Watch come with me. I'm not making you fight that battle. But if you want to come, you can come. So it wasn't like it was... What Jon did was unprecedented. unprecedented. Oh man, it's been a night.
Unprecedented.
However, I don't think that crap was out of line murdering him, but I do want to say that the cold part, I think the first couple times I read the book, I immediately thought the cold just meant that he died. I mean, he did die, but you know how you always see those movies where somebody dies and they're like, I'm so cold. And then by like the third time I read it, I realized in the prologue, Varamir Sixskins talked about when he started his second life, it was basically like plunging through a frozen lake. So I think when John says only the cold, or John's chapter says only the cold, I think that's the moment that he works into ghost, because his last word is ghost, kind of like Rob's last word was Grey Wind.
Even in the prologue, Varamir Sixskins also mentions how ghost is like a second life for a king.
Yes.
So yeah,
a hell of foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
There is foreshadowing there.
And also the name, Ghost.
Oh, you know, I don't know how that went over my head. But I do think John's gonna end up being the king beyond the wall after the whole story, because I don't know. I think one thing the show got right is that he does end up going north again. So
it makes sense for him.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a lot of sense for him. His ending being to be, I feel like John was like really found himself and who he was amongst the wildlings, like with Ygritte, I can't say her name or fuck, but with her and and just being with the wildlings and with Mance and all of them, and Tormund, I feel like he really found who he was, and that I actually liked his ending. It made me cry.
When he gives that little smirk going north again, I was like, yeah. But I mean, they say throughout his chapters, they make jokes about, oh, you know, like when the Night's Watch are pissed off at him, they're like, you're half a wildling. When the wildlings are trolling him, they're like, oh, you're half a wildling yourself, Jon Snow. But I see we have a super chat from a resident of St. Paul, Minnesota, which is, of course, the twin city to my home, Minneapolis. So Claire Chwalik, let me know if I didn't pronounce that correctly, said, hi, ladies. How long do you think John will stay dead before being resurrected? Also, St. Paul, Minnesota, represent. Kisses, my girl.
So I'll go first, and then we'll just go around. I think that he's not going to be dead that long. I know there's a lot of debate about this. Like, they got to kill ghosts and all this crazy shit. I don't think that's a thing. Like, I think he's going to be in Ghost. I think the Night's Watch are actually going to be dealt with pretty damn fast, because one's right there flipping the fuck out already. So like in the show, they did something different where one came back with the wildlings, but the wildlings are already there and one's already there. He like was already breaking bodies apart when it started. So I feel like it's going to be handled pretty quickly.
I think one would be a bit confused. Maybe I'm kind of misreading the terrain. Also, I kind of exaggerate in my head for humor, but the big old gingerbread man in Shrek 2, that's sometimes how I imagine one like, be good, you know? So I kind of wonder how much time everyone has to process while all this is going on. But I would imagine, considering the fact that the alliance that the Night's Watch and the wildlings have is tenuous at best. The Night's Watch members of the Night's Watch just took out the one link that kept things like somewhat non-tumultuous. Like the first thing the wildlings are going to do is be like, what the fuck? You know, because one beating that dude to a pulp, like it was Sir Patrick, like his whole description of death was overkill, which I realized was just this NFL joke between George and one of his friends, between the Giants and the Cowboys. But at the same time, that got a lot of people's attention, especially the wildlings. So you know there are a ton of people out there. So it's just gonna be like all out stinking chaos. Like you said, those dudes are gonna be dealt with like that immediately. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a big conflict between the leftover free folk that are there and the Night's Watch, and also Stannis's men, because Stannis had kind of gone to Jon for a lot, and I think that they would follow suit with that and have a lot to not really follow his orders, but kind of look to him to see how things were run there. And I don't think that anything is going to look real good to the rest of the free folk and to Stannis's people when they find out that the rest of the Watch got together and killed Jon. I do think that he's dead. It doesn't explicitly say it, so there's a lot of talk of maybe he's not dead. Maybe they throw him in the ice cells, and like how the cold kept Maester Aemon alive for so long that it would, help keep Jon alive and the magic in the wall or whatever. But I'm pretty sure he's dead. Him saying ghost and then feeling the cold, like Ara said, the cold plunge that Varamir Sixskins was talking about. I almost called him Vladimir because I saw Tony over there. Talking about the cold plunge and saying ghost. I mean, we've had enough foreshadowing and enough talk of second lives.
Oh, we lost Mandy.
it was so good too.
I'm like, oh.
She'll be back.
Should we get to that super chat while we're waiting?
Yeah.
Go
ahead, Ara.
About Jon. Yeah, so I honestly think Jon's coming back really quickly. Just based on the fact that it's a dead body and they're dealing with like people that are being recently reanimated. So they're going to want to burn him. So I think Melisandre is right away going to try to resurrect him in some way, shape, or form. I do believe she will be successful.
Do you think she slipped off to let Ghost out?
I think she did.
Because if Ghost gets let out, no one's doing shit with Jon's body.
Exactly. Just like they did in the show, even though I don't want to count that, but
she also gave him a sponge bath in the show and cut his hair for some reason. So it doesn't have to make sense to say, hi.
Oh, you're back. Yay.
Well,
sorry about that.
I was gonna say when you said did she purposely let Ghost out? I think like the last conversation that Jon has with her before this happens is she asks him, "Where's Ghost? You need Ghost around you."
Daggers in the dark. Yep.
And he's like, nice.
People were saying that to Rob right before Rob was killed too. Is you need to have Grey Wind around you. Where's Grey Wind? Why is he locked up away from you? And I think that that's a big it's a big thing with the Starks and their wolves. They're supposed to be by them. That's the whole reason they have them, is so they can protect them. And they make the mistake of getting too far away, and they pay for it.
Grey Wind's death was so brutal.
Can we
Grey Wind and Ghost were doing the same thing right before Rob and Jon died.
Raging.
Like they were bristling, they were raging. Like they describe it like they both were like snarling. Like it was the same type of language he's using. So it's like, yeah, Jon's gonna die. Like I feel like it was so many red flags on the way.
Something I noticed too, and this was like my 7th reread of this chapter, like this book in general. But I mean, I never noticed the parallels between Uncle Brandon and Jon in this moment, because they both lose their shit when they get news about their little sister, and it inevitably leads to their death. They do stupid shit after losing it's that wolf temper, and that's definitely what did it with Jon. With Jon, it was this huge buildup of, the Night's Watch takes no part. The wall is mine. I'm not gonna. And then as soon as Ara was thrown into the mix, whereas Brandon, I don't know the full history behind it, but I mean, when your sister gets snatched, anyway, I just now somehow noticed the parallel between the two.
I never noticed the parallel, and I appreciate you for bringing up the parallel because thanks for giving me something else to look into. So real quick, I just want to get to this super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Ariel Winchester. She says, "Hey ladies, how do each of you think Jon will find out his true parentage and when? Also, do you think some of his Targaryenness could be awakened if he comes as a Firewhite?" I think he's going to find out his true parentage in the crypts of Winterfell. I feel like, I don't know if it's going to be Sam like it was on the show, or if it's going to be Bran, or who it's going to be honestly. I feel like it could be anyone. I would like it to actually be Howland Reed, but I feel like it's gonna happen in the crypts because John has so many dreams about the crypts, and him not belonging there, and something leading him down to the crypts. And I know there's like a popular fan theory that maybe Rhaegar's harp is in the crypts of Winterfell, or maybe there's a dragon egg in the crypts of Winterfell. Maybe there was something that Ned brought back with him from the Tower of Joy that is in the crypts. But I do feel like the crypts are very significant to John, and I think he should learn about them while he's down there. That he does belong here because he is a Stark, but he's also a Targaryen.
I think he already has Targaryenness, and it's the parts of him where the what would they call it? The wrath of the dragon and the blood of the wolf, like wolf blood, kind of. He already has that temper. He has that Ned Stark solemnness, but at the same time, Rhaegar was a little emo boy. You know, like I think in a lot of ways he already takes after his father. So I think certain parts of John already take on Targaryen nature in the ways that parallel with, because sometimes we look at Ned and we're like, yes, this is how Starks are. And then you read The World of Ice and Fire and you're like, oh, the Starks could be dicks. You know, Brandon was kind of a dick.
Yeah.
I don't want to call him a dick, but he was definitely an animated character, if you will. So I'm starting to realize like he's the perfect mesh between Stark and Targaryen already, I think.
There was one on an episode of Obsidian Nights that I just did about John. It's in one of his early chapters. He talks about I don't think the episode has been released yet, but he talks about it's when he gets the news of his dad. And the guest that I had on was like, had brought up this quote where it was like he felt a blind rage, a blind fury or something, and it was towards Alistair Thorne, of course. But that isn't something that like Ned Stark would do. Like Ned Stark would keep his cool, but that is something that a Targaryen might do. That's something that Brandon Stark would do too.
True.
Like pull Alistair Thorne up. Yeah.
So
I think that. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't know you weren't done. Go ahead.
I've already talked quite a bit. You go.
Okay. So I was going to say, I think that it would be kind of interesting if we saw Bran reaching out to John while he's in Ghost. And because we know that he's, able to, Bran, I'm speaking of here, is able to warg into other animals other than Summer. We see him in Hodor, obviously, but we see him in ravens and flying around in the caves and stuff. And I think it would be interesting if John goes a little north of the wall while he's in Ghost, and Bran feels him in Ghost and reaches out to him after he finds out and says, no, you have to stay alive because this is why, this is who you are. And I think it would be super interesting if it was Bran, but not Bran face to face.
Do you think if Mance is hanging out in the crypts right now, he's gonna get bored and end up finding the harp?
It would give him something to do. He's a very musical creature, Mance Raider.
That was just me speaking out of my ass jokingly, but because I know
all of our Mance's Rhaegar people will absolutely love that one.
Well, I know I made a joke last week. I know last week I made a joke and I was like, oh, what if Theon, da-da-da. And I saw someone in the comments later on that was like, that Alicia girl just like says the most outlandish shit. And it's like, yep, and here I am. And there you are, shit posted on the internet.
We lost Ara now.
We lost Ara. She'll be back, I'm sure.
I don't want to be next.
I don't either. We're having like a windstorm here right now. And I was like, please don't knock out my internet. So we got DireWolfCity tonight. But we have a super chat actually from Melinda Murphy. Thank you for the super chat. Before he wargs Ghost, John dreams he's in Ghost and meets Bran as a weirwood. Bran opens his third eye and instantly wargs him into the real Ghost. He howls in this dream. Will he howl in Ghost in the Winds of Winter? So I've actually heard a couple things about about the howling. So I don't know whose theory this is, but someone has a theory that ghosts will actually howl and it'll be so out of character that people will realize that John's in him because he doesn't make noise. I think Melisandre's gonna be able to sense that shit right off the gate. So I'm not gonna say no, he won't howl. I kind of like that he doesn't make noise. Go ahead, Alicia.
I just realized there's another ward at the wall that
Oh,
knows
the
John is a
ward.
ward. Yep, Barak. Borak.
Yeah.
So Baroque. It don't matter. He can let them know, because all wards know you start your second life in an animal. So he can let them know, like, hey, he's, unless Baroque already. I don't think Baroque already left. You're right, because the boar is still there. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why Ghost is locked up. Because the ghost can't come out because John thinks that they'll fight each other, kill each other.
But also, wasn't there a moment in Clash of Kings? I haven't read Clash as recently as I've read Dance of Dragons, but isn't there one where John is having a wolf dream in Ghost, and it's insinuated that Bran through the weirwood touches his snout or something, and he wakes up, like throws him back into...
That's what she's talking about.
Okay,
that's what she was talking about in her super chat. Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's the dream where they were on like some astral plane in the weirwood. So the next super chat that we have is from Count Valerian of House Tatters, and it is who wrote the pink letter. So we're gonna get into who wrote the pink letter. I'm trying to wait for Ara to come back before we get into it, because I know she has thoughts. But so we're gonna come right back to your super chat. I'm gonna go ahead and answer these other super chats. We have a super chat from Alana Hill, $5 super chat. Thank you, Alana. If you want to ask a question, you can just ask a question and I will answer it for you. Oh, this is a loaded, here it is. This is a loaded question, but how do you think Dany and John's relationship will go down? I definitely think they will get together, but that relationship will end at some point. I think they are fated. Their journeys parallel each other very much so. I think if John has to kill Daenerys, it will be like on some Nisa, Azor Ahai shit. It'll be like to save the world. It won't be to kill her because Tyrion said kill her. It's fucking stupid. It won't be because of that. But what do you guys think about, like, I think their relationship happens. I think when she comes to Westeros, she's gonna need allies.
I don't think he's gonna kill her. Not in the books.
I don't either. But if he does.
Because keep in mind, Sandor Clegane went off screen because Brienne punched him off a cliff, and that didn't quite happen in the book. So I mean, there's always...
And Barrack's still roaming around.
Yeah. So I don't... There are certain elements of the show where I'm like, that's probably a hint. But I think because of law of conservation,
yeah,
I think they kind of just did what they did in the show, and it is what it is. We're not here to rant about it, but
we can.
I think we've done that. We've done that. They've seen that shit. So as far as the relationship between the two, I've noticed John already has a thing for badass women. His first love is Ygritte. He really has a thing for Val, which, speaking of Val, it's going to be interesting to see. Unfortunately, in order for Dany to make her scene, that means I think that means something's eventually going to happen to Val. So obviously, John, depending on how much time he spends in his wolf, or even just becoming conscious of the fact that he's a warg, he's going to be more wolf-like. He's going to be more feral. He might let his base instincts get the better of him a lot of the time, and that might be something very alluring to Dany, because Dany and Kai she loves dangerous men. Like you said, they're fated. So I think there might be some contention between the two in some ways, like this sort of like sexy little power dynamic, like this Paso Doble sort of dance between them. But I do think that once Danny finds out he's the true heir, it will be somewhat like the show where it kind of causes a rift. And, you know, for Danny, the rift is he's the true heir. And I feel like this identity crisis. And for John, it'll be, I just bleeped my aunt. Holy shit, you know?
About the true heir thing. So I was talking about this to somebody the other day, a huge Danny fan. So I don't think that she will so much care that he's the true heir, because I don't think it's something that he's going to want. I think that we've seen, like, he's been offered things like this. Like, he's been offered the lordship by Stannis to be Lord of Winterfell, and he turned it down. So I kind of feel the same. But in Westeros, there just can't be two claimants alive at the same time, it seems, because that's kind of how the whole Dance of Dragons happened. Like, yeah, Rhaenyra said she's not going to kill her brothers, but then who comes after Rhaenyra? They going to kill the brothers? Like, are Rhaenyra's son's going to kill the brothers? So, like, that's like a common thing. And I feel like the three heads, everybody talks about the three heads of the dragon. I think it's Jon, I think it's Danny, and I think it's Fagon. But
he has dragon blood. That's the thing. Just because he doesn't have the name Targaryen doesn't mean he doesn't have Targaryen blood. And when it comes down to it, Danny is technically 1/8 Valyrian. I did the math. You know, she's technically, Jon is 1/16 because he's a generation after her. And obviously there's still significant amount of Targaryen in there. The literal only difference. And here's the thing. Like the Blackfires have more Targaryen blood than the actual Targaryens that went on to keep taking the throne, because they have Dornish blood in them. So, you know, the whole Blackfire thing, they're just descended from a quote unquote bastard. That's it.
What is
red or
Illyria's
black?
name?
A dragon's a dragon.
Yeah, red or black, a dragon's a dragon. So, we have another super chat from Axel SH. Thank you for the super chat. Big fan all the way from Canada. Random question though. Who the hell is Cold Hands? Is it Uncle Benjen? So
George confirmed that it wasn't, right?
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah.
He wrote it, like his editor said, is Cold Hands Benjen, and he said no.
Right.
I think he may be like just a ranger that died a long time ago.
Well, I mean, to kind of riff off of Axel's question, I think he does kind of wonder where Uncle Benjen is and what Uncle Benjen's up to. So what do you guys think?
I think he did.
I think he's dead.
I think he's been dead for a long time.
Ooh,
and when they
he's
finally
gonna
found
come
out, it's
back.
going to be like, oh, okay, cool.
I don't think I really have a horse in that race one way or another. I think there's a strong possibility he was just a plot point. You know, his disappearance to really get the off the ground with a lot of things. But I like the idea of him being out there somewhere. There are parts of me that kind of wonder if he didn't basically lead Ghost to that little cache of dragon glass and the cloak, the Night's Watch cloak,
And the horn.
The cracked horn that may or may not be the Horn of Winter. I think he's out there somewhere. I think there's a possibility, but I'm also open to the fact that like he did. So
I think he's gonna come back as like a white and kind of freak John out. Or Bran, one of the two. I think one of them we're gonna encounter like a white version of Uncle Benjen, just as our confirmation, because I think Cold Hands is like an older figure, like maybe First Man, like way back if possible, because they make it seem like, because he rides like an elk, like he sounds like really majestic, and I can't see Uncle Benjen like
he could speak the old tongue.
Like that
wasn't even the old tongue. That was some language that he spoke some foreign language, so it must have been an old language.
Yeah, so I think he's like really old, like some First Men, like original Night's Watch, maybe like something crazy like that.
And didn't Leaf say like he died long ago?
They killed him long ago.
Or they killed him long ago, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a theory that he was Sir Duncan the Tall.
No,
and
that's not long enough.
he had gone after Bloodraven, and that and the whole premise of the entire theory was because he said, I'm your monster, Bran. And back in his days in Flea Bottom, he said we were monsters and I was the biggest monster of them all.
Mm.
And
He would have
so
had
they,
to escape Summerhall flames.
Here's what
Yeah, and they
happened.
say he dies in Summerhall.
His ashes fly away beyond the wall.
no, it was because he was so distraught that he let his king die, that he let Dunk die, that he like exiled himself to the wall, that he did escape Summerhall after dragging Rhaegar's mother out, and then he exiled himself and
Oh, see, my thing is with
followed Bloodraven.
Not gonna lie, I'd like it. Go ahead, Ara.
I was gonna say with Cold Hands and stuff like that, with him being so old, if Leaf is saying it's long ago and she's as old as she is, then it's really long ago from her perspective, is how I see it.
Me too.
Because she's like a couple hundred years old, so.
Mm-hmm.
The old.
We have another super chat from Wisdom Minari. Thank you for the super chat, Wisdom Minari. Having a female protag ultimately only exists to be sacrificed so the male protag can save the world is not GRRM's writing style at all. I agree with that. I agree with that. That's a very anti-feminism, and he's clearly a feminist, self-proclaimed feminist.
But I think we're also forgetting about Sansa.
How?
I think Sansa's I think she is a female protagonist that goes on to really like hold her own. I think she's going to be a queen of some sort.
Yeah, but if Sansa went all this way to be sacrificed so Littlefinger could be a hero. Or Sweet Robin.
No, that's definitely.
That's basically, I think that's what he's saying. Like,
yeah, no, I'm okay. I guess it makes. Yeah, that still makes sense because I think what he's getting at is the yin yang mirror between Jon and Dany rather than, oh, there'll be no more female protagonists left to us. Okay.
yeah.
All right. I'm sorry, Wisdom.
We also have a super chat, a super sticker from Michael James. Thank you, Michael James. If you have a question, you can ask it in the chat. And I think we have one more, and then we're going to get to the pink letter. We were waiting for you, Ara, for the pink letter. We were waiting for you to come back.
Oh, thank you. I had a little snafu with my technology, but we're back. Hi, guys.
We're good. So thank you for the $5 super chat, David Stevens. Ghost follows Val, and she knows how to sense him. How will this play into Jon's potential to be under her spell instead of Dany or Mel? Yeah, anybody want to take that one?
How
Oh, I
conscious?
will. Oh.
We can take it together.
Yeah, so you started it. Okay,
Mom says to call her. So how conscious do we expect Jon to be of the fact that he was just a human like 2 seconds before? Because he doesn't even know he's a warg.
True.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like a little sliver of him, but not much. I think it will last very shortly. Like it wouldn't be a long period of time that he would remain conscious of the fact that he just warged into Ghost. I think it's going to be really quick. And then after that, it's kind of just pure Ghost from there. And Jon's just in a little corner of his mind.
Well, parts of Jon are pretty salty with Melisandre. Like he's definitely probably thinking like, oh shit, you right? Because she told him like daggers in the dark, Jon Snow, but he is, and when I think about it too, it's like Melisandre never said it was Arya that was the girl fleeing a wedding on a dying horse. She never said that. You assumed it, and then you took it like, and then she ended up being right. But because it wasn't Arya, he threw this kind of hissy fit in his mind where he's like, well, now I don't trust you. So there is that distrust, and whether he's conscious of himself or not, there's that piece of you that always lives off in the corner, and he is dwelling in Ghost. So I think a part of him might be not angry with Melisandre, but like not really entranced with her because Jon is a skeptic by nature.
Mm-hmm. I know he says that. Oh, go ahead, Ara.
Oh, I was going to say with Ghost following around Val, I think it's because Ghost trusts Val already.
Mm-hmm.
And is familiar with her.
Well, she jokes about.
I was say in regards to what was that? how it played into John's potential to be under her spell. If you mean by under her spell, meaning he just has like feelings for her rather than Danny or Mel, that makes sense. They share a more similar culture. So they have that in common with each other. They already know who who they are. Like they're familiar with each other. They have a relationship. So yeah, it makes sense that Ghost would one gravitate towards her and John could have a potential, I don't know, love interest or something there. I don't know. He really likes her though. He's very attracted to her. But
That's
I
why
just- Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say
realized
that's why I agree with you that she's gonna die.
I just went off on this whole Mel tangent. I just went off on this whole Mel tangent thinking we're talking about Mel's spell. And I was going to be like, well, yeah. But to riff off of what Anna was saying, there is that moment in the chapter where like John is looking for Ghost and Ghost is like off with Val somewhere and Val and Ghost emerge from the tree together and she's in all white and, you know, Ghost is white and John says something like, oh, they look like they belong to one another or something. And she makes this joke like, I'm going to steal your wolf. You know, he's like, yeah, boing.
So we have another super chat from Yummy Snow. Thank you, Yummy Snow. Generis for life. Assuming that John becomes king in the north, hopefully they get married to secure an alliance. I love y'all. Y'all the best. We love you more. I would love to see Danny and John get married. And history repeats itself. So I was talking the other day to a friend, and we were talking about the parallels in Game of Thrones to the dance with dragons. And they had brought up that John might be the... I forget who they said John was. Oh, the Aegon II character, like from the dance. And I was like, no, I think he's going to be like the Kragan Stark. I think he's going to be like the Kragan Stark when it comes to settling things in Westeros and after the Great War. But also I think there could be like a secret marriage like Jacaerys supposedly had with Sarah Snow, Kragan's bastard sister, that no one knows about, and except for the reader. Like we're gonna know about it, but that's it. To like seal some kind of pact, and it'll be after that John finds out. Oh shit, this is my auntie.
So you're thinking, my thing is, George talks about a bittersweet ending. How would the ending be bittersweet if John and Danny end up married?
Well, that wouldn't be the ending, girl.
I feel okay. I was like, I feel like that would be really like right off into the sunset. Like,
no,
yeah, no. Love that for you.
That would be like something. It would be something that no one ever knows. Like we see it happen. They have instead of boat sex, you get weirwood marriage sex. And then they go their separate ways because they disagree on how things should be handled. They go their separate ways. One of them dies, and no one ever tells the story about how they secretly got married and signed like some kind of pact of ice and fire.
And there's questions on Jacaerys' parentage too, right? Because he's not.
Yeah,
he's
a bastard. He's a bastard strong.
Right. So there could be some parallels there.
Yeah. And Bran sees that. Like Bran sees it in his dream where that pregnant lady comes out of the pool. That pregnant lady, I think, is Sarah Snow. Because before, it's like right before that pregnant lady comes out, he sees a knight standing on a woman kissing a knight as tall as Hodor. Now everybody says that knight is Sir Duncan the Tall, but Amanda did a bomb-ass video. Amanda and Joe Magician, I think they collaborated on it, did a bomb-ass video proving, like it's proven that Duncan the Tall is a strong. He's from House Strong. So Jacaerys is from House Strong, and the reason Jacaerys in Bran's dream looks like Hodor is because Hodor, is a strong, but because Sir Duncan the Tall is a strong. Like you guys, that shit is wild. I did a stream on it called Secrets of Winterfell, and how I think it could come back around.
Which means Brienne has strong blood too, then, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like. So can we talk about Pink Letter now that we're all?
I think we had one more super chat, and then we can. I just don't want to miss the super chats.
Right.
But I do want to talk about Pink Letter though, because okay, thank you for the super chat, Triple OG, Josh Gripe, loving the stream, book club in the house, peace, love, and positive vibes, everyone. Thank you. Yeah. So if you have Discord, you want to join my Discord, we have book club, trivia. We talk about stuff all the time, play video games and stuff. So join the Discord if you want. And I think we're going to talk about the Pink Letter now.
Yes.
So while we're talking about Pink, everybody in the chat, put who you think wrote the Pink Letter. Put who you think you wrote the Pink Letter. We're going to go around the horn with who we think wrote the Pink Letter. But first, let's read the Pink Letter. Anybody got the Pink Letter up?
I do, actually.
Nice.
And I'm not going to do any cool narrating voices because I'm not good at it. And it would last for like 3 seconds. So I'm just letting everybody be aware. All right. Now that disclaimer's out of the way, now let's get to it. All right. Your false king is dead, bastard. He and all his hosts were smashed in 7 days of battle. I have his magic sword. Tell his red whore. Your false king's friends are dead. Their heads upon the walls of Winterfell. Come see them, bastard. Your false king lied, and so did you. You told the world you burned the king beyond the wall. Instead, you sent him to Winterfell to steal my bride from me. I will have my bride back. If you want Mance Rayder back, come and get him. I have him in a cage for all the North to see. Proof of your lies. The cage is cold, but I have made him a warm cloak from the skins of the 6 whores who came with him to Winterfell. I want my bride back. I want the false king's queen. I want his daughter and his red witch. I want his wildling princess. I want his little prince, the wildling babe, and I want my reek. Send them to me, bastard, and I will not trouble you or your black crows. Keep them from me, and I will cut your bastard's heart and eat it. It was signed, Ramsay Bolton, Trueborn Lord of Winterfell.
Ooh, tea. So let's see what the people in the chat are saying before we get into it. So don't see how Mel is even a possibility. Mance. If not Ramsay, it's not Ramsay because there's information in the letter that Ramsay would not know. Mance, he's been around Ramsay, so he knows his mannerisms and speech patterns. Mel, Ramsay, Manderley. Wyman Manderley. Oh,
I saw somebody said Bowen Marsh.
Oh, Bowen Marsh.
Yeah.
Oh,
like Josh Greep said, original Pink Letter was intercepted by Bowen Marsh or one of the mutineers, then altered so that John would get mad, break his vows, and they would have an excuse to kill him.
Oh, I like that. I don't think Bowen Marsh is that smart, though.
Me either. He's really stupid.
Way too much credit.
You would commit a mutiny with that many people to witness it and think you're going to get away with it. They're going to kill you.
Yeah.
I missed all that, guys. So, yeah, I'm a little late. But
So, most of the people in the chat are saying Mance or Ramsay. Somebody said old man. Where is she?
Where is she? That is the biggest mystery that I want solved is what happened to old man.
She got marched off to the Dreadfort last that she's heard from. Because all the women that were in Winterfell were marched. However, that does concern me because old man, does she even have teeth at this point? Did she survive that march? I need to know what happened.
Yeah, like send a raven. Where's old man?
Bowen even Reed.
Yeah. And Bowen Marsh is the biggest idiot on the wall. So
I won't argue.
Let's get into our let's get into our thoughts on it. Like, let's get into what we think.
Yes.
Who we think wrote the pink letter. Who wants to go first?
I think Ara should lead in. Oh yeah, Nim, go.
Oh yeah, Mandy should
Oh
go.
no, go ahead.
No, Mandy, go.
Oh wait, I
Okay.
have you guys wrong. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you did. Just keep that.
No, it's cool. I think Nim is
I can be
exotic.
Toad's not Alice for a while. That's fine.
Mhm.
She's cooler than I am, anyways. Okay. So, my first thought with the whole thing surrounding the pink letter is not so much the pink letter itself, but it's John's reaction to it. His reaction to it is very, like, specifically out of character for him. Ever since his conversation with Tyrion, he has been letting shit just roll off his back. He hasn't been giving in to the name calling or the insults, and he specifically denies the motivation for going south has anything to do with Stannis or this fake Arya. So the quote that got me was, "This creature has sworn to cut my heart out, and I mean to make him pay for it." That doesn't sound like John. Especially not John, Mr. Night's Watch, Mr. Duty, Mr. Take No Parts. That's not John. So you have to start looking at another reason why he could be doing it. He has completely resisted being goaded up until this letter. But why? And then why is the entire mass of the free folk so willing to follow him and fight this war over this dude's bruised ego and go south for these southern lords that they have no part in, and they're like, yeah, let's go fuck them up? Like, why would they care? So here's what I think that this letter is written through the lens of the story of Bael the Bard. There's a bride that's missing. There's a lord who's scorned. There is someone in Winterfell. Like, the whole thing is written through the lens of Bael the Bard. And Mance is posing as who? Abel, which is an anagram for Bael. So, the free folk know the story. They are born and bred on this story. It's like their favorite tune, you know? It's like the Bear and the Maiden Fair or the Rains of Castamere in the South. It's something that every single free folk knows. They all know this, right? But the similarities are playing on their sympathies. But not only are they playing in the sympathies, but they're also cluing them in that Mance is still alive and in the crypts, because the letter specifically mentions Mance. So they would then assume that Mance, because it's written through the lens of Bael the Bard, that Mance is alive and well and living in the crypts of Winterfell with this fake Arya. Now, the verbiage similarities between them, in the letter he calls the members of the Night's Watch Black Crows, and we only see them referred to, the members of the Night's Watch, the Black Brothers, referred to as Black Crows from the Free Folk: Asha, Craster, Ygritte, Mance, Harma, and Tormund. And John, while he's speaking to the wildlings. And then there's a quote from Mance when he's speaking to Styr. And Styr, oh, here it is. Styr scowls. "His heart may still be black. Then cut it out," Mance replies. He's the only other one that we see talking about cutting someone's heart out. If it was Ramsay, he would have said, "Skin him, I'll skin you, I'll flay you." He would have been much more Ramsay-esque, but it's not. It says cut his heart out, which is something we've heard Mance say.
I was gonna say Ramsay would have sent like a piece of skin or like some type of physical proof.
Exactly. Like he did with Theon. He would have, cut his wiener off and mailed it to him.
What you made me think of, I was thinking this out while you just mentioned it. Do you guys think that maybe it's like a coded letter for the free folk?
Oh, it could
Well,
be.
I think
it's coded in the way, right?
That's
It's
what
coded
I'm,
in the
like,
way
getting
that
through, is like what she
it's
said.
written through the lens of Bael the Bard, but it's also written in a way that if anyone else intercepted it, other than the free folk, and that's the other thing, is John doesn't give him the Cliff Notes version. He reads it verbatim. And he doesn't say, hey, I got this letter and this happened and this happened. He read them every single word that was written. And if anyone else had intercepted that letter, they would just assume that it was, Ramsay being Ramsay. But because it was written in such a specific way, mentioning all of these specific details from the Bael the Bard story, it meant something more to them. And then John never once thinks of Arya. We have his internal monologue through the rest of that. He doesn't mention her, and he doesn't even think about her afterwards. And it's really interesting to me that, because I mean it's his favorite sibling. They're, you know, the closest of all of them, and he doesn't even think about her. And the wildlings don't even mention Mance because they just assume that he's fine.
I need that like 2K noise when you slam dunk in the rim. I need that noise to like insert here.
I mean, there are a couple other things to consider, because there is one other person that I think there's a possibility of it. Mostly I'm in Mance camp, but as of today, I came to realize like the Melisandre argument actually holds weight. However, with Mance, if we're really like nitpicking this and tearing it apart, so Ara and I were speaking via text message throughout the week, and we noticed when Ramsay sent a letter before, being like the wedding invitation, which I think was taunting toward Jon because he knows Jon is the half brother of Arya. It talks about the wax button, the pink wax button that's used. I did try to find if there was like an actual seal used from the Dreadfort, which it doesn't mention anything about that. But in the pink letter, the wax seal is a smudge. Like, it's more of a smear than an actual button. It is not beyond the realm of possibilities that somehow Mance got a hold of pen and paper. And I do think he's literate. I think Mance is literate because he knows that Abel is an anagram of Bael. Obviously, it would take a whole lot of sneaking around, especially when these motherfuckers are looking for you. Because, I mean, there's nothing to lie about. They definitely caught a lot of the washerwomen, you know?
I was going to say, ooh.
Yeah, so another thing with that, in the note, there's this assumption that Theon went straight to the wall. And if Theon went to Stannis's camp, and if there was supposedly 7 days of battle, Theon would have been found in some way, unless, of course, they quote unquote burned Theon, because otherwise there would have been like nothing but charred bones and dust. Another thing that's missing from all that, what about Asha? Because Asha is definitely in Stannis's camp. If they indeed descended upon because Asha, like, by the time they realized like armies coming toward them, I don't know if she'd have a whole lot of time to get away necessarily. Somebody would mention that there's also the Kraken princess. Another thing that really bothers me is the verbiage of the wildling princess. I don't know if that's necessarily verbiage that Ramsay would turn around and translate and use. What's on top of it, let's just say, you know, Mance is being tortured. I don't know why. First of all, it's not like Val doesn't mean anything to him, but because she's not actually a princess, he's not going to be like, and I have a baby, and I have a kind of sister-in-law, and did I show you my watch? Like, it's just too much information for Mance to just volunteer. Like, he, like to Nim's point, he threw out all the stuff that he knew was going to antagonize Jon. He's had to have noticed Jon ogling Val at this point. He knows Jon cares about the baby, because I'm pretty sure he knows that the baby at the wall is not his baby. You know, the whole red whore thing. I don't think Ramsay would necessarily care. My whole thing is I think there's no way in fuck Ramsay wrote that letter.
My thing with Ramsay not writing that letter is what the biggest thing. Why would he care about Val and or Mance's child? Why? Mm-hmm. Why? Just ask yourself that. I'm like, of all the things for him to write about, that's the biggest red flag to me.
Yeah, and he's not going to know that Jon has a thing for Val. Not unless somebody who's already been at the wall and has seen all this go down knows that Jon has a thing for Val. It's not Ramsay.
I used to be behind way. Stannis wrote it to try to get help. But I'm really like convinced it was probably Mance. I feel like all the evidence is pointing towards Mance. But I like the idea that somebody brought up about it being Melisandre, where Melisandre does some trickery to try to get Jon away from the wall because she knows he's in danger, but also she knows that Stannis needs help. But I mean, I don't feel like I can argue against Mance writing it right now. I feel like
I just got this image in my head of all this chaos going on above ground, and then cutscene to Mance hiding out in the crypts to this like elevator sort of bossa nova music. Do.
Opening
And
up,
then back to chaos, and then back
opening
down
up
there like
streams and
do.
yeah. So we have a super chat I want to get to real quick before we get back to the pink letter. It's from Mr. Livershot. Thank you, Mr. Livershot. Do you think Jon will come face to face with Theon and wins? I do not. I think Theon is about to be sacrificed to the weirwood trees. I think Bran is basically like, feed me, Theon, please. I need this blood. Basically, I feel like that's what's happening in that Winds of Winter sample chapter, where the Raven is like, tree.
Isn't it Theon the one that says it kind of looks like Bran, or he like says something about Bran
Yeah.
with the tree? Yeah, he wants Theon. It's coming for blood.
Yeah.
I think Theon's end
He's gonna
is
get it back
not-
in blood.
I think that Theon's end is not anytime soon, but I do think when he goes out, it'll be through a weirwood tree somehow. Like I did an episode with the boys over at Nauticast, and I kind of went off on this whole tangent about how I actually think Theon's probably going to die at Winterfell, because there's just so much cryptic language that he uses about being a Stark at last and belonging in Winterfell, and
The trees know my
I think
name.
it'll be a very voluntary sacrifice. So
I feel like I know I shit on Game of Thrones season 8 a lot, but I feel like Theon's death was one of my favorites. I feel like it was very true to his book character. I feel like if he does go out, it will be protecting Bran or for Bran or something to do with Bran, like because Theon made Bran's life a living hell. Bran probably won't see it that way because he's all magical and shit now, but at the end of the day, like he owes Bran a solid.
can we talk about the most human thing Bran ever did before letting Theon just like die for him 2 seconds before he knew Arya? We're not going to go there. Was when he looked at him and he said, "Theon, you're a good man." And you can tell Theon felt like his life came full circle. Like you can tell in that moment, Theon was like, okay, like I've come around. And all I could think about was like in season 1, where Jaime is talking to Jory outside of King Robert's chambers, while King Robert's like, "Oh, you smell a blackberry jam," but Jaime said something like, "I saw one of the Greyjoy boys over, it was like seeing a shark on a mountain." And Jory goes, "Oh, Theon, he's a good lad." And Jaime's like, "I doubt it." And like you parallel that to when Theon goes out and Bran's like, "Theon, you're a good man." And it's like parts of me are like, that was so sweet of Bran. And the other part is like, why did you let him die, you asshole?
Yeah.
So.
I actually think Theon and Jon will meet again as soon as Jon wakes up. I think that Theon and Asha are being sent to the wall by Stannis, and I think that they're going to make it there just as Jon is waking up, and Theon is going to be one of the first things that Jon sees, and that's when we're going to see his feral side that he's adopted through Ghost come out for the first time. And I think it's going to be kind of a interesting altercation between them.
You think that... Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you think that Stannis will let him live, knowing that the northern lords might abandon him, the ones that he's gotten so far might abandon him, because as far as the North sees it, Theon killed Bran and Rickon, like that's what they think, and took Winterfell.
I don't see Stannis doing much of anything that he doesn't think he wants to do, especially now that he feels like Imagine being stuck for 19 days, 3 days away from where you're supposed to be, and the woman who is supposedly like guiding you and keeping you safe for all these years is just like, okay, good luck.
Bye, babe.
Exactly. I think that he's gonna be like, I'm done listening to everyone else. Like, I've listened to everyone else all this time, and where's it got me? Freezing my balls off in the fucking snow, unable to get to where I need to be. And I think he can do more good here, or, you know, let the wall have him or let John have him, that he might think that John deserves him because he doesn't know that, you know, John has been, what did you say? Alicia Julius Caesared. So I think that it would be kind of like poetic if they bumped into each other, and that was when John's like wolf side came out and he just like tried to rip Theon apart. And Theon is already so like fucking frail and broken and everything that he's got no fight in him whatsoever.
He might
And
not
he's just going to
recognize
be
Theon at first.
this little pathetic thing, and that's going to kind of snap John back to his senses a little. I don't know. I think it would be a really good moment.
I would love for them to meet again. Only reason I don't think so is in the Theon like pre-release chapter. Theon and Stannis talk about it because Stannis talks about Tycho Nestoris going to the wall and Theon wanting to go with him, and he's like, yeah, no, you're not going anywhere, you're staying right here with me.
Has
That's
Tycho left for the wall yet?
I believe so. I think he sent them right away. He told them,
Yeah.
in that chapter, so in the pre-released Winds of Wind sample chapters that are out there floating on the net from
Here's the
things
deal.
that George has read, they he says that there's a scene with Tycho and Stannis, and he pretty much tells him like, I want you to leave here immediately because a battle's coming, so you got to go. I can't risk you getting hurt.
Mhm.
And I think Asha comes in like right after. He says he's not letting her go because he's like, you're too valuable to me. And then same thing with Theon. He's like, if I let Theon go, these people will abandon me.
Mhm.
Like that, even though Stannis doesn't care, I think he's very indifferent whether Theon lives or dies. But I think for him to keep the North, he has to have him executed. And I think he'll be sacrificed or werewood, like Gray mentioned earlier.
But do you
I think
think as
Asha-
dire as the situation has gotten for him, that he won't start to worry that they'll either be taken or killed in this predicament they've found themselves in?
I just don't think they care about Theon. I think they think he's worthless.
I
So
think
that like
Asha
his life doesn't mean nothing to them.
And he like Phil brings up a good point in the chat. He said Theon is royal blood. Sacrifice for sure is in Stannis's mind. So Stannis could be looking at him, Theon, as a sacrifice to some king's blood. Go ahead, Alicia.
To riff off it, well, first point to riff off of that, Asha feels in danger throughout all of her chapters because technically she has king's blood. They're full siblings. So that means however they're looking at Asha, they would look at Theon, and double prizes, the Northmen don't like Theon. However, I think Asha is up to something for sure. Her ankle does seem to be a little bit better because it talks about her kind of like strutting in to Stannis's, at least I think that's how it read, strutting in to Stannis's little hut that tower he had Theon in. There are parts of me that think, okay, well, she just did that to be practical because she's sickened by seeing strangers burn alive. She doesn't want that for anyone. And if she knows that they have to execute Theon, let it be the most humane thing. However, I think she's up to something, and I think it would be very easy to slip off with Theon in the chaos of everything that's going on. So I think there's a good possibility Theon and Asha could kind of slip away during all of this. And Stannis might send some riders out to track him down. I don't know, but Asha has mentioned in her chapters, she at least knows the North on the west side. Like, she at least knows that much of the North.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. But I think Theon dies at Winterfell.
I think I just don't want him to die.
No,
I'm trying to
yeah.
find a way for him
I
to
like him.
survive. I just
I was
don't want
like,
him to die.
I like him and Asha escaping because I don't see Stannis purposely letting him go. But if him and Asha slip away, I would love that for him and John to reunite. 'Cause I want him to
Or
reunite
if
because I want John to beat him up.
if
But
Stannis sees that the battle is lost or that they're in danger, he could say, you know, make for Castle Black. My people are there, you know, or go get help or reinforcements or whatever if they don't have any ravens. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I don't think Theon is going to die there. I think if he is sacrificed to a weirwood, it'll be the weirwood in Winterfell. But
oh, go ahead.
not now. No, just saying, but not now.
Little Brownie D said that would be an awful end for Theon. Like, I guess him being sacrificed. I have a soft spot in my heart for Theon Greyjoy. Like, I used to hate him, but like all the shit that Ramsay Bolton put him through, and like when I found out that he was Reek, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was mind blown for that alone. But I feel like, yeah, he's paid his price. He's paid his price. Like, how much do you want one person to suffer? And I feel like death for Theon is actually peace, because he's been mentally and physically tortured, and sometimes you just don't come back from that kind of stuff.
He fantasizes about death quite a bit.
A lot.
A lot. And it's really, for me, I do think he's definitely paid the price for a lot of the stuff he's done. I mean, like, taking a deep dive into the stuff he's done, you're like, what a fucking tool. But on the other side, I mean, he's still a tool back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's still full stop wrong, absolutely wrong. But at the same time, you look at it and you're like, what guidance has Theon had? He's more seen from the outside in morality coming from Ned Stark. But on the other end of that, he's like, Ned Stark was never unkind to me, but he wasn't a papa. You know, so Theon, I feel bad for the little dude, but it's like at the same time, I don't forget a lot of the dumb shit he has done. Like, my favorite thing he does that's really messed up is when in A Clash of Kings, where the two Iron Men are fighting over loot, over a dead body, and he doesn't want them fighting, so he's like, yeah, I'm gonna draw my arrow and they're gonna be talking about this shot, and he means to knock the cup out of the dude's hand and he shoots him in the stomach, and even in his mind he's not thinking, oh shit. In his mind he's just like, yeah. Dude, you know, he's such a douche. But you're right, like, nobody should have to endure. I mean, he looks like an old man. Dude's like 21.
He's missing toes and fingers and
teeth.
Like, yeah.
His
like
hair is gray and falling
and
out.
his sausage is gone. Like, you can only mutilate and torture a person so much until their mind starts to deteriorate. Because I have some things about the hooded man in Winterfell where I think like that's Theon, like total disassociation. Like, that's Theon. Theon's the hooded man that goes to Winterfell.
Huh.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
I
crazy.
was gonna jokingly say the hooded man wrote the pink letter.
Well, if the hooded man is Mance, then it is.
Well, I would hate for somebody to be like, she's saying outlandish shit again.
We have a super chat from Wisdom Minari. He says, Asha's mom has Glover hostages. If Theon dies, so will he. Also, Asha is pregnant from Carl. The maid never took her moon tea.
Well, here's the deal about Asha's mom. Asha's mom is not all there. I'm not sure she would know what to do with the hostages. And what's his name? The reader, Roderick the Reader. I believe he has his hands tied doing Euron's bidding at the moment. So what do you guys think?
Most likely, just because Euron's scary as hell in the book. Throw that out there. We missed our crossover with Tony. Yeah, Euron is terrifying. So if I were him, I would be doing what he said. Quite honest, and just fall in line. Because that's one cycle you do not want to cross.
I mean, he
This is
called
the
him
short
out.
end of it. This is the short end of it.
Roger
Like,
called him out.
he
So,
did, but at the same time, it's like once you're seeing like everything, I don't know. So where Euron is right now in the books, I'm like, yeah, nah. I just try to lay low and off his radar, not like openly antagonize him.
right. So Roger called him out, but at the same time, when Euron called the banners, Roderick came. So Roderick is a little preoccupied, and Asha's mom probably doesn't even know what day of the week it is.
Yeah, her grasp on reality is tenuous at best. And I, like you said, I don't know that she would even know what to do if she found out that Theon was killed. I think it would just crush her all over again, and she wouldn't even have the wherewithal to think, oh, well, I guess I get to kill these hostages now. She would slip further into her dissociative state or wherever she's at.
Or she'd become overprotective of the Glover babies.
Or that, yeah. I don't know what she would do. It's hard to tell with someone who is in that mental state how they would react to, losing another child. I can't even imagine. It would be interesting though if Asha was pregnant with Carl the Maid's baby.
How long has she been on the road with Stannis and company?
How long is it from they were at Last Hearth? Where was Asha? Deepwood Mott. Thank you.
That's the northwestern corner, like by the wolves, past the Wolf's Wood, by the Ironwoods. So,
because I remember at one point in her chapter, it says something like, very sarcastic thought, like day 25 of the 14-day march. So usually people start showing when they're about second trimester-ish.
About 3 months in.
Yep. So I don't think it's quite been 3 months, but at the same time, there's not a whole lot of, to me, I don't think there's a whole lot of hint that she's pregnant. She doesn't talk about any kind of like cramping or discomfort. She doesn't talk about overheating or getting cold. Like there, in a woman's first trimester, even before she pees on a stick, there are some telltale signs, even if she's denying it to herself, that like, this is why I never know when women are like, I didn't know I was pregnant. I'm like, denial's a powerful thing, my darling.
It's like period symptoms. They're very, very similar. So you might just think you're having your period, and lo and behold. But yeah, we don't really get anything that hints at that with Asha.
It's an interesting thought, though, especially considering her feelings on the subject.
You're muted.
She probably said something bad. Still muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
I said, let's go back to John. we all on the Iron Island.
I mean, better hit it up because we're leaving the North after this week.
Yeah, and you guys get to pick where we go. But I think we're gonna do a scraps episode. I think we talked about that.
Do we even need to now? I think we just covered it.
I don't think we did.
I know, right? Yeah. John and Theon.
We just did it.
Okay, can I ask you guys one more question though about the skirmish at Winterfell, where, because we talked last week about how we think Stannis is going to win, but at a cost. At least I did, and I think that Ramsay has the ability to sneak away again in the middle of the chaos. Do you think that him and Jon are ever going to come face to face? I mean, because we got the whole Battle of the Bastards in the show. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I think that if he does find a way to sneak away, that it would be interesting for him to run into Jon at some point.
Ghost would rip his fucking throat out.
Oh, absolutely. But this is also contingent on how long Jon is asleep, because not asleep in Ghost, because a lot of this is going to get like handled while he's dead. Like the battle is going to happen. Rickon's going to come back. Like all the shit's going to go down while he's just laying in an ice cell. So like, what is he going to wake up to?
Oh, so I probably missed this earlier. How long do you guys think he's actually going to be out? Because I don't think it's going to be that long.
I think it's going to be a couple days at max.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that long either.
I missed a lot of that earlier.
I think there will be some loyalists watching over his body. I think they're going to keep him in the ice cells. I think Melisandre's not going to waste time and saying I think we should keep his body. I think we should keep his body. They definitely fear her. She does have power. She says even in her inner monologue, she's like, oh no, my powders are running. I don't need it. I'm at the wall, So I'd say a couple days, but there is a line, and I'm not the first person to zero in on this. I'm not pretending to, but there is a line when he enters the ice cells to talk to, is it Cregan Karstark? The dude that comes after Alice Karstark because he wants to marry her, the cousin / uncle dude. Anyway, it's weird. He talks about seeing his reflection in the ice cells or something. So there's so much talk of the ice cells. I think that's where they're going to put. Yeah, I think that's where they're going to end up putting John's body to preserve it so it doesn't rot or anything. But
how long was Kat dead?
Couple days.
Couple of days.
In a river.
Like 3 days, maybe?
3 days, I think. Yeah.
I want to say it's 3 days.
I think it will be shorter than when Beric is brought back. Like Beric's brought back immediately. So longer than when Beric's brought back, but shorter than when Lady Stoneheart is brought back, or maybe the same time. Because we know George has said that those two are the foreshadowing for John. So I'm thinking I think it can't be that long. Yeah, a couple of days.
I'm seeing lots of people in the chat say 3 days because John is a Christ figure and Christ rose in 3 days.
So did Kat. She ain't Christ.
Speaking of, that's a Kanye song.
I can't help it.
Do we think John and Lady Stoneheart are ever going to come face to face at any point?
Want them to come face to face so bad.
I do
She's gonna be salty.
She'll be so mad because she's like, how does he get to come back to life after getting stabbed up and my son doesn't?
She's not gonna be able to do shit about it.
No, I would love to see that anger from her.
She's just gonna sit there like,
it should have been you.
Bitch. And if John's all feral now and Wolfman-y, he'd probably tell that bitch about herself. Karen, I've been wanting to tell you this for 100 years, and now that you're here, I'm gonna tell you. I should always been Lord of Winterfell, and your kids are all dead now, and so are you, and I'm the king of the North. Fuck out! I could see him totally tripping on her now that he's
I would love to see that.
Right.
There are theories floating around that Kat will give her life force to John so that the kiss of life to him, and I'm like, you should write an essay. Are
we reading the same book? She came back
I think their logic is so that he can save her children one more time. It's like
she's not exactly in that mindset.
Or if Bran's gonna have to talk to her some kind of way.
What pisses me off is she knows damn well Sansa's still alive and she's not even making moves to rescue Sansa. She's just like,
well,
you
Sansa
killed
did
Rob.
write that letter. Yeah, Sansa wrote that letter and stuff, so she might have that beef with her still, in whatever fragmented memory she may have. Nah, I remember that.
The only child that's this isn't true. I'm being hyperbolic, but the child she gives the most fucks about spends the least amount of time even mentioning her name in his thoughts. Fuck that kid.
He thinks about her once.
Yeah.
Somebody posted on Twitter if you guys seen Twilight when they flash back and the vampire throws the baby vampire in the fire. And it was Catelyn to any kid that's not Bran. Throw the baby in the fire.
It's so true.
Honestly, I used to think that in my head until I really sat back and thought about it. I was like, Rob is her favorite and she's a liar.
She's in denial about it.
She's so in denial because I was like, if Bran was your favorite the moment he woke up, you really would have went back to him.
Yeah. for sure.
Well, I
Like,
mean,
especially in a vulnerable state like that. Like, I'm sorry, I'm still all right.
at
Let
the
me not get on my
time,
cat
she thought he
slander
was nice.
train. Like,
At the time, okay, we're so off kilter. Back to John.
yeah,
Oh my God, we
John,
can talk
John. I was
about.
like, you know what?
We will get to the
Another day.
Riverlands eventually. We will get to the
Another
Riverlands.
day.
We'll get to Brienne or Jamie, or we can. So much to talk about,
There's
Lady
so much happening
Stoneheart.
with John, and we're
Yes.
Yeah.
So John will eventually resurrect. What's the next move, do we think, after the soup chat?
All right, yeah, let's get the soup. Could John end up as Wild Skagosi, Rickon's regent, to protect him from schemers? Lady Stoneheart might be pissed, blaming John for turning him into a wildling. And thank you for that super chat. No. I think John could end up as wild as Rickon. I mean, like, he's already interacted with the wildlings, had the wildling snatch and snacks and stuff, and still into Val. I can't help it. I'm sorry.
I didn't register what you said at first.
Sorry. Yeah, but I do think that, like, John is gonna have this wild Wolfman Rickon-esque type of vibe when he comes back. Could he be his regent? I think they'll pick one or the other.
So I
Ooh.
wasn't here for, I mean, I was moving during the Rickon episode. Thank you, Amanda, for being here. Anyway, I kind of thought about it. Maybe one of the reasons that Rickon takes on the mannerisms of his wolf so much, and he's like as wild as he is, because Rickon is a toddler. He's in these developmental years. So anyone who's ever had a toddler or been around a toddler for 2 seconds knows that toddlers get really overstimulated really easy. And that's where all the meltdowns come in, because they are constantly taking in all the information dialed up to 11 all the time, to the point where it just like the wind can blow the wrong way and they're going to have a complete and utter meltdown. Speaking of taking in all sorts of information, since Rickon is at that developmental sponge stage, it would make sense to me that he's taking in his wolf and the mannerisms a lot more, and they're, riffing off of each other quite a bit. That's kind of, I don't know if you guys already talked about that. I'm sorry.
I would love
we touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, because we brought up John possibly becoming a regent, or how that whole regency thing would work with Rickon if he is to be brought back.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to see that, because I feel like John and Rickon would be able to bond a lot, because they have that. Now that John's come back from being in Ghost, he's going to be a little bit more feral. And I always called Rickon the little feral child anyway. So I feel like they'll be like a match made in heaven for like, and they're brothers, so that helps. So, well,
I would love to
brothers,
see
but
this sort of like these interactions between them, where Rickon refuses to use full sentences now, and John is like, "Rickon, use your words," and Rickon's like, like Donnie,
like a Thornberry.
Yes,
Like
Donnie
they're like growling at each other. That should be hilarious.
I said, use your words.
See, I think because George says that Rickon has an important part to play, but I think after that part has been played, that he's going to die. I don't see Rickon surviving. And I don't think that it's ever going to become an issue of who has, who has rule of the North or regents or anything, because I don't think Rickon's going to make it that long.
Mm-hmm. I hope he does.
I think he's still around right now to show us Skagos, and
Right.
also to create. I think it would be too easy if John became king in the North, and then, all right, we're just waiting around for him to meet Daenerys now. Like, I think there has to be like utter stinking confusion, because I think around the same time, Sansa is going to reveal herself as not Elaine Stone, but Sansa Stark, which we will get into Sansa and Harry the Heir later. But I think at around that same time, she's going to come out of the woodwork.
Mm-hmm.
So
I liked Ara's idea of Rickon not leaving Skagos.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. It was like about. I was,
It grew on me.
This
yeah,
is
I
what
was gonna say, I
happens
want
when
him
I
to be
skip.
my. Yeah, I think of Rickon as kind of like if we're doing like parallels to history, like Perkin Warbeck slash Richard of York, if you will. He would be King Edward the Fourth's son. So one of the princes of the Tower. So there's this
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
story, pretty much like real history. It's rumored that he was actually this lost prince that people assumed was dead. Him and his brother were killed. However, he got away. And I would love for that to be Rickon's story.
Mhm.
Yeah, me too. Like at
But
first I was like, no, he needs to come back, but then the likelihood of him dying if he comes back is high. So I'd rather him live his baby wolf
and
life.
Davos loves the kids. I can't see him being like,
Yeah.
nah, come here, little baby.
Baby
go.
Stark.
Take your
Baby
wolf
Stark.
and your wildling lady if you want, and let's get out of here. I can't see
Yeah.
it.
Well, Osha's gonna have a pretty big part in this upcoming. Okay, back to John.
John.
Back to
Yeah.
John,
Oh,
John.
you know what it is? We just get these nice side conversations, but we're back to John.
This is why our podcasts never go as planned. They never last an hour because we will talk about OSHA for an hour.
This is why
If
we
we-
had to do
if we
these
start.
podcasts live,
This is
because
why
we
we had to
tried
go live.
recording it.
Yeah. This is why we
And
had
it
to
was
go.
like 4 hours of nonsense. So
I have a
I thought
question.
it was wonderful.
Ooh,
It
yes.
was wonderful, though. It was wonderful. So the question I have is, John is brought back. What is he brought back for? Because there was a meme that I saw talking about season 8 of Game of Thrones. It was so fucking hilarious. It was, John, the Lord of Light wants you to come back because your sister's gonna kill the Night King, and it would mean a lot to her if you were there when she did it. So, no, like, why would they bring him back? Why does he come back? Because if he's coming, like, Lady Stoneheart comes back for vengeance, Barrett comes back because he's the Lord of Lights person, but really he comes back to show us that it's possible. Why does John come back? Alicia?
Do you remember when the first 5 seasons of Walking Dead were good?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you remember that episode when they're
I'm lying. I never watched Walking
was
Dead.
it my mind?
Me
Okay,
either,
so
that's
some
why
of the
I'm saying
okay,
it.
so I'll preface it. So Rick Grimes is your protagonist, and he starts out kind of a little naive about the whole thing. He thinks they're still like, oh man, I have a hard time killing these undead people because they used to be people, and then it gets to a point where they give zero fucks anymore. So he spends an entire season trying to convince, like he's like this hardened veteran now. Like he understands we need to survive. He's, survival mode. That's what's important to him. These are the things we need to do to survive, a lot like John is doing right now. So there is there's a whole season where they're in this kind of like sheltered, dissociated, still somehow maintained suburban neighborhood, and they refuse to get with the grind of survivalism, and it's not playing out well for them in the future. So, or it's not playing out well for them in the long run. So there's a scene where somebody lets in some undead walkers into the community, and Rick ends up fighting them off while they're having this town meeting about whether or not to kick him out of the community, because he's kind of like, he's on 100. And so he crashes the meeting and he throws down these dead bodies, and he's like, how many of you do I have to kill before you let me save your lives? Or something like that. I don't know. But I always think of John in that same concept, that it's like, I'm so sick of you motherfuckers. Like, I will kill you all just to save you. And I kind of see him coming back kind of like, you fucking killed me. So I think his purpose is to continue what he started, which is getting people ready for the long night. I think he is going to want to distance himself from the Night's Watch because they're so small thinking, and he might kind of realize, like, I need to unite the North because the North is a big part of fighting off the White Walkers. But I do think that's his purpose.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that is his purpose. I think he also is one of the hero figures of this story, and I think he's going to have a huge part to play in the Great War. Also, shout out to Mr. Livershot1 for the $2 super chat. #free Shaggy Dog. But what do you guys think? Do you think he's being brought back because he's Azor Ahai, because he's the last hero, because he's gonna?
I mean I pretty much agree with Alicia. I think that he's coming back to ready the North, and who else would be able to, you know, unite the North than a Stark? Because, you know, everyone thinks Rickon is dead. So, and if he is in fact only gone for a couple of days, then Rickon still wouldn't be back. So they would still need a Stark to rally after. And I think that I have a hard time saying he's Azor Ahai because I've convinced myself that Azor Ahai is not one person, it's a series of events. So I think that he has a part to play in that role, but I don't know that that's specifically why, because I think that anyone could, in retrospect, fill that role unknowingly. We've had this conversation before, but I think I think that he's a puzzle piece, but not a main player. A main player, but an alternate. I don't know. It's hard to talk about in this setting because it's not set in stone that it has to be him. You know what I mean? It could be anyone in retrospect that fills that role, but it should be him because he fits the criterion.
Yeah.
That was convoluted as fuck. I apologize.
No,
Go ahead,
it was
Ara.
beautiful.
So I'm gonna take a different approach. I think it's kind of fated for John to do this. Like I'm one of those people, I believe in like destinies and fate and like certain things like you are put here to do. Like this was your mission. And I believe John's mission in life is to face off against the great other and be one of those like big leaders in that movement against them. So I feel like, as corny as it is when Melisandre says it, but like you're kind of like when the Lord of Lights, like when like chosen, like you were brought back for a reason. So I feel like John is kind of meant to do this along with a bunch of other people, not just John by himself, but he is going to be a major person in not only just getting the North together, but getting the Seven Kingdoms together because he's a reputable person. He's Ned Stark's son. Ned Stark's name carries a lot of weight. Even though he died as a traitor, it's very interesting that he's known to be very honorable, and that's what his reputation still holds as, even long after his death. So
They love the Starks in the North.
not even just the North. I'm talking about across the realm. Like everybody says, like Ned Stark was very honorable, even though he was killed as a traitor. But
I think everybody knows.
They know.
Yeah, everybody, yeah.
They all know that he was right. So like they trust him. So by that, by proxy, they trust John. So like I hate bringing up the show, but the show kind of showed that like John was the main reason everybody else got together. If it wasn't for John and his knowledge and his name and who he is, they would have lost. Like I think he's very, very vital.
And plus, I loved the intro that Gray put together for us this week.
Oh my god,
because
it was so good.
John, my top 3 favorite characters are John, Brienne, and Jamie in that order. And let me tell you something, it reminded me why John is my favorite, because it's one big compilation of all the hardcore shit he's done just in this show. So I mean, John is he really rallies people. You know, he brings people together. He knows how to compromise. He, as much of as angry as he gets, for the most part, he knows how to stay in his body. There are elements of him that are definitely Ned Stark. Like he's kind of thick sometimes, but at the same time, like he's in between a rock and a hard place all the time. And he is a 16-year-old. He's gonna fumble with the ball sometimes. What's on top of it, he's a good warrior. You know, he's a 16-year-old Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, although he's not as young as Osric, I believe his name is, the 9-year-old, which that is just the most unrealistic thing George has ever written.
Have you met a 9-year-old?
You know, it's like, anyway. So I mean, John is just the perfect candidate for all of this. So it would make sense to me that even if the rest of the kingdom got hold of rumors that he might be Rhaegar's actual son, people are going to want to throw their weight behind him one way or another. Like, I don't care if you're a bastard. I don't care if you're actually a Target. Like, well, some people will mind that he's a Targaryen because you know what they say about the madness and it's speaking of John, is it ever weird? Like my mind, it's like I know it factually, but I can't process the fact that John's grandfather is Mad King Ares, and his brother and sister are Rhaenys and little Aegon. Like I just have it's like I know it, but I can't quite process it in a way that it feels natural, you know, probably because he grew up with the Starks.
He always feels like Ned Stark's kid.
Mhm.
Like when you think about like Eggs' great grandpa, that's so cute.
I know.
Great
And
grandpa.
Aemon is his uncle.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That
Yeah.
relationship, like the relationship between Aemon and John, is one of my favorites in the books.
Me too.
And go ahead, Alicia.
When you're done, can we talk about speculation on what John's real name is?
Let's talk about it now. I think it's Aemon.
I think it's Aemon.
I think it's Aemon. I think it's Aemon. I would say
Well,
Aemon the
talk about
Dragonite. I would say Aemon the Dragonite, Maester. I think it's for Maester Aemon specifically because of him and his relationship with Rhaegar.
Mm-hmm.
And there's too many damn Aegons.
And he already has an Aegon. Why would he have two Aegons? That makes no sense.
Here's what irritated me.
George Foreman.
Here's what irritated me. And if you feel attacked, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Okay. Like there are so many times the show would reveal something and other content creators would be like, yes, let me release content on why I knew this all along. And they didn't. Here's the deal. I think that the show is not evidence toward his name being Aegon. In the show, they never mentioned his brother's name, the infant that died. They never mention it by name. Why would you go with any other name but Aegon in the show? The show is also meant for casual viewers. Casual viewers are like, in order to make John as significant as possible to a casual viewer, give him the name Aegon. It makes sense. In this story, 2 Aegons is dumber than when George wrote Tyrion Lannister as like this Olympic gymnast.
There's a backflip
off the guardrail, you know, and then the rest of the books he like can't even walk without getting cramps, you know. So I mean,
I hated that. I hated when people were like, after the Aegon name reveal, people were like, "Oh yeah, I knew it all along." This quote here.
It's like you do realize we've been reading your tweets for the past years, bro.
I think the most solid proof for John's name being Aemon is the parallel between Gilly, Sam, and baby Mance, or Mance's baby.
Monster.
They swap a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Sam, a high lord, takes the baby, claims it as his own to protect it from a Baratheon king, and the baby's name is to be Aemon. Once it's past the cursed time. Go ahead, Alicia.
Radio Westeros breaks down this theory so beautifully. I believe the episode is a blue rose in the wall or something. Okay, go to Radio Westeros. I believe it's within their first like 10 episodes, way far back, but they will break it down for you in a way that you will drink that Kool-Aid and you will not, like, you will be staunch, not think it's anything but Aemon. But one of the things they brought up is when Rob, those little hints here and there and these parallels between the two. So they're talking about Rob and John and how they always used to like play on the battlements of Winterfell and they used to yell things back and forth at each other. And at one point, Rob says something like, "I'm Florian the Fool." And John says, "I'm Aemon the Dragon Knight." And so here are the parallels. So Rob actually has quite a few parallels with
the one that died young.
Yep.
The young dragon.
Yep, the young dragon. He died at like 18 years old, very young conqueror, didn't really lose a whole lot of battles, but couldn't seem to get his shit together politically. You know, and he basically died because of deceit. He got ambushed and he died. There's a parallel. So who was his cousin? Who was his cousin? It was Aemon the Dragon Knight. It was Aemon the Dragon Knight. And I believe there was another Aemon. Nope. Okay. Yep. So he was, yes, we're going with that. There are lots of parallels. It's been a while since I listened.
All the Aegons that are around, their second brother is Aemon.
Mm-hmm.
Like Egg's second brother is Aemon. Aegon the second, his second brother is Aemond. with a D because Queen Alicent added a D on it like an extra bitch, but it's
Aegon the
Aemon.
Unworthy Aegon the Unworthy's younger brother is Aemon the Dragon Knight.
Yeah,
I believe. I was getting people mixed up. Man, them tarts.
it's so obvious at this point. It's so obvious.
Yeah. So
But
I'm glad we all agreed. That means it's canon. Okay.
Basically canon now.
Oh, I was
Bet
going to
on
say the baby swap. Just while my mind was on it, before I lose my train of thought, it reminds me. If you guys haven't read that Cursed King series, George, I believe, is cited in the intro for the first book. In the most recent, ones that have come out, it has so many parallels to Song of Ice and Fire. It's kind of like dramatized historical events, if you will. Some of it's a little twist on it, but there's a baby swap in there where they have the wet nurse who swaps her baby with the king's son. The king's son ends up getting poisoned and dies. And pretty much there's very few people that know about it, and the people that do know about it pretty much take it to their grave and they're all miserable about it. Do you think something's gonna happen to Mance's baby? And if so, would John feel really remorseful for it? Not Mance's baby, I'm so sorry, Gilly's baby.
I think something might happen to Gilly's baby. I think Gilly's baby is in the most immediate danger.
And I think that the king's blood isn't going to work, and they're going to figure it out.
I think that someone's going to take that baby beyond. I don't know if they'll take it beyond the wall, but Val very affectionately. First of all, I love the relationship between Val and that baby. You know, when she gets mad at John and she's like, give me my monster. You know, and he says something like, I heard you singing to that monster. And she's like, I was singing to myself. Can't be helped if he happened to be there listening. But I don't see Val letting anything happen to that child. However, its name is Monster. It is referenced in the book by Gilly's sister wives. Gross. They refer to the others as Gilly's brothers. So, and the baby's brothers. So I don't know. And not the only other time, but another time up north, we've heard the word monster used is by Cold Hands when he says, I'm your monster brand. So I'm a little concerned that baby is going to get snatched up by the army of the dead somehow. I'm concerned something's going to happen to the baby.
And whoever facilitates that is going to be major Knights King vibe. Knights Queen, Knights King. So whoever facilitates that baby sacrifice. And I also feel like John is giving off Knights King vibes. Like if John comes back from the dead and deserts his post and like goes all ape shit, he's gonna be like a Nightfort story at the end of the day.
I think Mel's gonna run off with him too.
I don't think he's deserting his post. He died. His watch was ended.
He served
but
until his death.
but if he's not a victor, history won't tell it like that. History will be like, and he was Mad Axe. He walked around the night. Like I don't believe in none of the stories like about Simeon Stareyes and the two hellhounds. I don't think those stories actually are 100% fact. I just think that they're written. Whoever is telling the stories is telling them how they want them written. Like I feel like Night's King is probably a very sympathetic story.
What a good time to plug our brother podcast, The Usual Suspects, over on Tony Teflon's channel, because they were just talking about this on Wednesday. They were talking about Mad Axe. Well, they were talking about a lot of things, but one thing I like that they said, which kind of cracked me up, is they kind of think that Mad Axe was warged into by the children of the forest because he thinks the children still have major beef with mankind. He's like, Tony's
thinks they're evil.
Tony's like, listen. They're talking about how this dude lost his mind and he went and murdered a bunch of people, but he took his shoes off first. Like, if I have a psychotic break, I'm not going to think to take my shoes off.
First 48 out this
So, I mean, the theory is for somebody who just mentally snapped, he's taking the time to, like, do this meticulously a little too much. So they just broke down a lot of the Night Fort 2 days ago.
Real quick, so check that out. That's on that that's on Tony's channel, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, Tony's channel every Wednesday. I think he has the Night King on the thumbnail for that one. We have a super chat from Mr. Marmello. Thank you for the super chat. He says, at Nim Shadow, can't see you or name under super chat. So intelligent and witty. Blondie, the opposite of all stereotypes in SOS media, yo.
Koala
Boy,
face.
you got a fan, babe. You got a fan, babe.
Thank you for the super chat.
We also have another super chat from Josh Gripe. I think the show somewhat merged John with Fagon, hence calling him Aegon in the show. And I think you're absolutely right. And thank you
Agreed.
for the super
I
chat.
agree with that. We had a lot of characters being merged in the show.
Yeah.
And I think that was just, what does Alicia call it? The law of conservation. They were conserving their character energy.
The law of stupidity.
That
So
too.
Adrienne in the chat said right now about Mad X, he had a very polite and respectful psychotic break.
That no one ever.
Oh, Adri.
No, I just feel like when I listen back to Bran's chapter at the Night Fort, which is one of my favorite chapters, like, did why was the Andal King at the wall, and why would the rat cook his kid? Like, that doesn't make sense. That sounds like a lie, like an Andal would tell. Like, because the Andal, I don't know. It's just it seems off to me, and all of them seem off. Like even the Night King, the Night King. Go ahead, Arya.
No, when you just said that, the Andal blood, it just reminded me of the Frey pies. Sorry. They have Andal blood because Wyman would be a first man, and then they get them and put them in a little pie. But sorry.
Yeah.
So
See, I don't
the
think
Night
any of the
King-
stories
My
can be
mind.
believed completely.
I feel like
they're
there's a lot of parallels, like a lot of things echo each other, but sorry.
Mhm.
The thing about the Night's King, and it's been driving me nuts for a few weeks now because the show threw us off. In the books, it's the Night's King. The part about it that's really, really frustrating is George goes out of his way to make sure, like, you're not figuring that shit out unless he wants to write it down on paper, because every story there is just contradicts one another. It's like in one version of the story, okay, in order, he was the 13th Lord Commander, but this story sounds like it takes place before there was a Night's Watch. But so he does that crap on purpose, and if he's going out of his way to, it's just too much going out of his way to make it convoluted to tell me that it's not just. I don't think there's going to be a Night's King. I think it's an important story to carry forward. No different than they talk about the Rat Cook or the Rat King quite a bit, but we're not going to see a rodent of unusual size pop up from the.
It's not literal. Yeah, it's not literal. Because we do get with like Bran, like right after, like we do actually get human meat pies, because we get Frey pies from Wyman Manderley. So that does actually happen, and it comes in a story, but like we get it in a completely different way. And I think that's kind of like with what's going on with Night's King, because if you look at the wall, like as it is right now, a lot of the stories from the Night's Fort are coming true. Like Simeon Star Eyes seems like a White Walker. A dude with sapphire eyes seems like a White Walker. But we had like those two whites in a Game of Thrones that came back to the wall, and they were or two Night's Watchmen that came back to the wall, and then they were reanimated. They tried to kill the Lord Commander. Like they could have been considered Simeon Star Eyes or two hellhounds fighting outside. Like, you know what I mean? Like you never know. And then like for some reason, Satin reminds me of brave Danny Flint. Like Satin, the guy at the wall.
I could see that. I was gonna say with the Night Fort stories, with that being said, like how they talk about the Night's King in this at the Night Fort with his witch figure, if you will. And Stannis is taking the Night Fort as his seat with a witch a red witch, if you will, at his side. And they talk about giving like the soul and the seed and like all this other
And-
stuff, and like she does the same thing with shadow babies. It's
And
like,
possibly sacrificing Shireen.
and I believe Shireen's getting sacrificed at the night fort.
He's
Personally.
definitely doing it. He's definitely, she's barbecue. She is. But I do think he does it at the Knight's Fort. It kind of fits this sort of narrative of horrifying things taking place. Because think about it too. It fits in with one of those stories that could be told 1,000 years from now. Like there was a king that killed his own princess, like his own daughter, burned her alive. And I think that which I mean, I know we talked about Stannis last week, but I just see him going back to the Night Fort like we talked about. And I don't know if I just don't think I think she's going to jump ship. I think
That's what I was
going
going to ask you guys next. Do you guys think that Mel's going to jump ship? Because I do.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think she's already starting.
She's totally going to be
She's
all
already
over
switching
John's
over to
fingertip
Kid John.
dick. Yeah.
So where do they go next, do you think? Like John and Mel?
I wonder. So, I wonder if they go south, like towards Winterfell, to try to link up with Stannis or some. Like I feel like Stannis is gonna get mortally wounded in the battle for Ice. Either he will be like in Winterfell, like on his deathbed or something. But I don't think John stays at the Wall. I think they're gonna try to get south, further south than the Wall. But also, I like the letter from Rob. I feel like it's gonna come into play in Winds. Like I feel like it needs to happen in Winds. Yes.
I just realized that Melisandre could really be a good buffer between John and Stannis, because when it comes down to it, just because Stannis might not end up getting the support of the North because of the letter, because of other things, like I think that Stannis is going to be super pissed. I think he'll realize he's not Azor Ahai. However, that doesn't, it's not like we know yet that John is Rhaegar's son. So Stannis still has a claim to the Seven Kingdoms in general. So they could very begrudgingly strike up a bargain. But look, I gave you the Night Fort as your seat. It's still your seat. So I can see Stannis going back to the Wall that way, which is very, very salty. Things, so I mean, but one thing that really, really, and I want to know what y'all think, eventually Stannis and John are going to have another meeting with one another, and I do wonder how that's going to go down.
Okay.
No, I was gonna say, I think Mel and John are heading to Winterfell, and I think she'll be there when one of the other Stark siblings returns. I'm not sure which one it is. I think it'll most likely be Sansa. Once she finds out John is back there. I don't see Sansa moving until either John is back there and or Stannis is possibly there, just because technically that is her seat.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyrion's nowhere to be found, so he has no claims to it.
Yeah. So Stannis has to sacrifice Shireen. So I'm wondering when he's going to do it and how he's going to do it. And I feel like that is something that John will either execute him for if he's still alive or send him to the Wall. Like they swap places. I'm the king now. You're the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, because you did an awful thing by killing your kid. And I honestly think that Stannis won't fight going to the Wall, because I think once he kills his daughter, he's gonna be a shell of this person that he is. But I know he was not like getting on board with Rob being king in the North.
He's not gonna have a choice. He doesn't have the support.
Right.
But before, supposedly he had Melisandre thrown. No, that was the show. Never mind. Was it Leeches in the Fire?
No, that happened.
Was that both?
Really.
Was that both? Yes, it was both. It was both, because Melisandre tried to brag that she killed Rob, and Dallas was like, you threw a leech into the fire, and she's like, but it worked.
But men die in war all the time.
Yeah. So I think Melisandre will jump ship, but she'll still like be a buffer between the two of them. You know, it's not like she finds Stannis useless or she suddenly like, I hate that dude. So I mean, I don't think Stannis is going to have much of a choice, because the only reason he was able to march on Winterfell is because he wooed the clansmen pretty much. Here's the deal. The clansmen already have their eye on Jon, because if you remember, the older clansmen that were too old to march with Stannis went down to the wall, supposedly for the wedding, which quite a few people have the theory that they know about Robb's will, and they're assessing Jon at the moment, trying to see what he's about.
I have a question. Do you guys have Howland Reed, the Glovers? The Glovers had the letter, right? Glover and Mormont. Wait, who has the letter?
One of the Glover brothers.
One of the Glover brothers. And they're in the neck, right?
Yep. So what's her name? The one with
Mage.
the obnoxious laugh. Mage and one of her daughters.
And then Howland rules the neck.
I feel like there's a third party member there. Other than there's a Glover.
The chat will let us know.
Wait, I just realized, wasn't there a Glover that went down to the Tower of Joy with Howland Reed as well?
Yeah, he
Ethan
died.
Glover, right? No, I know that, but like is it Ethan Glover? I think that's interesting. It's like the same families repeating themselves. I kind of have this secret all revolving kind of around Jon.
I know one of them was Lady Dustin's man, because she's bitter about that shit today.
Her husband. Yep. Her husband, who she just fucking married.
but she still was pressed over Brandon.
Okay, but here's the deal. I love Lady Barbary. I think that I don't think she's actually going to give Ned's bones to her dogs. I think she's still kind of salty about the whole thing. But think about it. She's like, so I wanted to marry Brandon, and I couldn't do it because Catelyn, bitch. Okay. You know, then I wanted to, and then I wanted to marry Ned. You know, next best thing. Oh, Catelyn got him too because Brandon got dead, and so I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to marry this Dustin. Oh, shit. Ned just took him down south and he dead. And then she's a widow. I think she had sex once. Yeah. She's just a widow all this time. She's a little salty. And I think she's just I think she's testing Theon too, because she's running her mouth too much. And the thing is, like, she seems a little too clever for that shit. So I think she's kind of testing him to see where his loyalties are, because she knows that he's Ramsay's creature. She's going to say what she needs to say to make it seem like she's not jumping on board with the Starks. Now, while I think there's a grain of truth to what she's saying, that she's kind of salty with the Starks, it's not like she's like, oh, the Starks, like she's gonna throw in her lot with them, even if it's not worship. It's just, well, here we are. Okay. But I mean, how did we get on this tangent about? Oh, okay. We were talking about
the people with the letter. Yeah.
Yes, I'm pretty sure there's a Riverlander with them, a Mallister or something.
Jason Mallister.
I believe so. So the Riverlands are on board with this too, because keep in mind, Blackfish is still running around out there.
Yeah, he's missing.
Almost called him Beefish. Blackfish and Blackfish.
Hashtag still alive.
Yep. It was either Blackfish and Edmure or just Edmure witnessed that will, witnessed the letter. So in the prologue of Winds of Winter, George has basically confirmed it's going to open up with probably the Brothers Without Banners rescuing Jane Westerling, which means they'll probably rescue Edmure, because I believe he's in the same chain gang pretty much. So who knows? There are a lot of people that saw that will signed. However, the physical will is with 3 people in the neck.
Is Edmure at the twins? He's at the
He-
Twins, right? Or is
He's
he at
on
River
his
Run?
way to Casterly Rock.
Oh yeah, Cashley Rock.
Yeah,
Right,
he's with Jane Westerling.
right,
Yeah.
right.
But he was in the camp outside of River Run while the Freys were like bluffing every day, like, we're gonna hang him. And and Blackfish was basically like, do it.
Oh, a Jane Westerling POV coming. I hope it's not a prologue.
The prologue has
The
Jane
prologue
Westerling
is
in it.
Jane Westerling, yeah.
Oh, I hope it's not her prologue.
We don't know. It could be
R.I.P.
Sir Ellen Payne. You never
Rip.
know.
Yeah. 'Cause I don't think other than the prologue and epilogue, I don't think we're getting any new POVs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Says
So
he.
he says.
Nice
Yeah.
knowing you, Jane.
But it be changing though. So we have John getting resurrected pretty quickly in a couple of days, coming back to pull everybody together to fight the Great War. He has a big part to play, we all think. We think the letter is going to come up. Do you think John arrives at Winterfell before the letter, or the letter arrives at Winterfell before John?
The letter will arrive at. The letter will arrive first.
I think the letter will arrive first.
Yeah.
Just because they're coming from the south.
Mhm.
And it's not, weather's not as bad, so it'll be easier to travel. Whereas Stannis has been 19 days, 3 days away because of weather related problems, not because of anything else. It's just the weather. And if John's coming from the north, unless the only thing I could think of is going to Eastwatch and sailing down through. Well, no, you can't even probably go down the White Knife, but it's
yeah.
like frozen.
Here's the thing, though. These are Northmen. We're all talking about either way. Northmen travel faster. When in Asha's point of view chapters, when she talks about the slow progress of Stannis's march, the clansmen, no skin off their nose. The only reason they're going as slow as they are is because they have to wait up on Stannis's camp. So I can see the Northmen making just as good of time, well, with somewhat of delay, as they would like clear skies. So, I mean, it's not just because Stannis's camp has been camped out for a month doesn't mean it's going to take the Northmen from either point. So once John decides, storm or not, once John decides that he's going to go south, it's going to take a couple weeks max. But like you guys were saying, which is closer, the wall to Winterfell or the neck to Winterfell?
Oh, the
I
wall
think
to Winterfell is definitely closer.
It looks like on the map, it looks like the same.
All right,
Yeah,
what are you
it looks
looking
like
at?
I'm looking at the map actually. I have a map
Oh,
right above.
I just see you go.
No, I'm literally. I have a literal map on my wall of like Westeros and Essos, so I'm like staring at it right now.
I
And
think
it
the
looks
letter,
kind of almost like in the middle of the two. But
yeah.
I really think the letter, just because they're coming from the south, it's going to be less delayed because they're talking about like 40-foot deep snowdrifts in Winterfell. So they're coming from the wall. Even with like obviously with wildlings and stuff and company, they're used to that kind of weather. But at the end of the day, if you're bringing food and stuff for the journey, it's going to take a while to get there. And I think coming from the south is just going to be a little quicker.
But Tycho did not take a super long time to get there.
No, he didn't.
Right. Traveling
Oh, that's
with
true.
just a couple people is a lot faster than,
But
supply trains.
But I think I would have a lot of people though,
yeah, I think they would have a lot of people too.
like a whole entourage.
Do you think that the letter comes to Winterfell or White Harbor? Do you think it could go to White Harbor, or could it go to Bear Island or somewhere like that? Because
Manderley kind of seems in the dark about all this shit. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing all that extra with
for
Rickon.
Rickon.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know though, because one of the Glover brothers is on board with who knows. The whole thing's just that's why they call it the Grand Northern Conspiracy, Great Northern Conspiracy. Like they're playing all these different sides to distract away from the fact that John is about to be crowned king. So that's the theory.
I think Howland Reed has to make an appearance. Like he has to.
Oh, I hope he does.
So I think
I do too.
I think he's going to come up to Winterfell and at the same time be like, and you're actually not just King of the North. here, your mom. I was with your dad. I was with your dad when he killed Sir Arthur Dane. And then tell him the story like in the Crypts of Winterfell. That would be so. I would love that. We have a super chat from Wisdom Minari. Thank you for the super chat. Blackfish thinks Jon is Tywin's creature. He told Jaime, "Oh, Catelyn never trusts Jon. I guess she was right to do that."
I think it's smoke and mirrors. Like I said, I think it's distraction away from, because I think Blackfish was there when the will was signed. He had to have known. He had to have known that Robb named Jon his heir. I don't think Blackfish gives the same fucks that Catelyn gives. I think he's old enough to know by now Catelyn's beef with Jon is solely because Jon was born. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to want to do anything to Jaime to hint at the fact that they're about to crown this dude king in the north.
Yeah,
If
it'd be
they can.
stupid to reveal his hand to Jaime.
Mhm.
But also at the same time, if the Blackfish did have some kind of resentment towards Jon, I feel like Sansa could smooth that over.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly. We also have another super chat from Axel SH. Thank you for the super chat. Hey Gray, who do you all think will have a POV in the Winds of Winter? Dany, Jon, Arya, Sansa, Theon, Tyrion, Victarion,
I think
Barristan,
they all will.
Barristan, Jaime, Cersei. Yeah, I think all of them will have
Yeah.
POVs. I wonder though, would they split it up like they did Feast and Dance?
God, I
I
hope
don't-
not.
I
I
hope
hope
not
again.
either.
Yeah, I
Oh,
hope-
you know what? It would be a cool take on Axel, by the way. Great name. It's my son's name as well. If it wasn't obvious. But I was going to say, for POV, just because there's so many, who do you guys think that are possibly epilogue and prologues for Winds of Winter?
I think epilogue could be Theon. His
I think-
sacrifice to the Weirwood.
I think epilogue is who. Epilogue might be Shireen. I don't
I've been
know.
I've been thinking epilogue Shireen for a while too. Ever since we had our first little group chat,
Yeah.
if you will.
I think
Prologue.
she got to die before that, right? No?
I mean, it's going to take time for all the pieces to fall into place.
Yeah,
I
I want
think
her to be epilogue.
Got a shot. I don't want it. I don't want to see a child burning from their POV.
I just wanted her to be the epilogue because one will crush my soul to read it, and my little weird twisted mind. I want like one of her last thoughts to be like a big thunderous noise. I want it to be like a wall crashing down behind her. So
Ooh, that's beautiful and dark.
yeah,
and
so yeah, it's
Love
dark and
that.
twisted because I want if Shireen's gonna go out, I want the world to go out with her because she didn't deserve it. So
I
okay,
think the
prologue.
prologue for Winds is probably going to be Ellen Payne. I've seen that one thrown out there a bit. I don't think he has a whole lot of narrative purpose going forward.
But I'd love to get inside that brain.
Exactly. That, narratively anyway, he doesn't really have a whole lot to do left, but like you said, we'd like to get inside the brain. I just realized the epilogue of Dream of Spring is either going to be Sam or Bran.
Mhm.
I'm gonna need Phil and Jonathan to cut it out. They're talking about prologue as John inside Ghost. No, that means Ghost has to
Prologue
die.
is Jane Westerling. It has to be.
What?
She's in the chapter, but I don't.
I'll say
So-
if it's Ellen Payne, which is interesting, he can't talk, so it's all pure thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
knows.
thinking of if it's a Brotherhood without banners person.
Could be.
Wait, where is Jane right now?
She's
On
on
her way
to
to
Casterly Rock.
She's on her way to Castle Rock.
So
What
Jamie.
if it's Edmure? Because isn't he also on his way there too?
Ooh, well,
He's
Edmure
in
might be
it.
a little valuable because he was there during the signing of the will. So for me,
No.
there are certain characters that are
He's trying to
valuable
kill
to stick
people.
around just because of he might have a little bit of plot armor. I don't know. But if you remember, Jamie went to River Run was basically like, what the hell are you guys doing? Got done in like an evening what the Freys had been trying to do for weeks, if not months, you know, and he straight up, basically, he set it up so that Jane Westerling and Edmure, and even Rosalind wasn't at River Run, but he arranged for her to go to Casterly Rock. But he was like, okay, I need them escorted from River Run to Casterly Rock. And he's like, I'm going to send, I don't remember the exact number, but we'll say 400. And he thought about it and he's like, no, I remember my ass got jumped. Make it 800. You know, so he kept doubling the guard because he's being super freaking careful. So that that prologue is going to be insane because of how careful Jamie is being. So that tells me to, oh, go ahead.
So that tells you what first?
Oh, that tells me like lots of fighting, lots of dying. I think it needs to be from a point of view of someone who like knows how to fight, not just this scared little girl that's like, oh, what's happening? Oh, what's happening? Oh, what's that noise? Like it has to be someone who's battle hardened, being like, and this is happening, and this is happening, you know.
You know whose POV it would be super interesting from? Sybil Spicer.
Oh, and then she can get dead because I hate
And then
her.
she gets dead because she should get dead.
I would love that, actually. I like that a lot. Because I don't want Jane to die because, like, she's just being used by her parents. She's just like a victim of the day, if you will, like her time period and circumstance. And I'd rather it be her mom because she's the reason we don't have any Robb Stark cubs. So
yeah,
I just rather call them
Sibyl's the
cubs.
schemer behind the whole
Baby.
thing.
right. And the whole Brotherhood right now is all into like fucking up people who fucked Robb over. Well, that's Lady Stoneheart's whole thing. So who fucked Robb over more than Sybil Spicer?
Right.
Yeah.
Walder Frey, that's it. And Roose Bolton.
But she wants everyone involved. Like first person whose point of view we saw that she went after was a dude that was just like drinking with the Great John. Like that was his job. His one job was literally getting the Great John drunk. And she's like, yeah, no, you're gone. Like all Freys, all Lannisters.
Wait, Gatehouse Amy's dad, right?
What? Oh, Amy, Gatehouse Amy.
Amy.
Yep, that's her. Here's the ironic
Her
part.
daddy.
Here's the ironic part of it. So, killing
Killing
Lannisters just because they're Lannisters is what lost Robb the war. As like it's what kind of, because what's his name? Karstark killed the Lannister prisoners, the Lannister boys, just because they were Lannisters, which caused Robb to behead him. He did not take his mother's advice on it. So he beheaded Karstark. He lost his support. He ended up having to go to the Freys to try to get their support, which ended up leading to his death. So, and Catelyn, which led to Catelyn's death. So the first thing she does as soon as she comes back is just, without discrimination, start killing Lannisters and Freys. Make it make sense, Catelyn.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Oh, we have a $5 super chat from Tina Barrick. Thank you, Tina. Great show, ladies. You all are appreciated helping through the long nights. Yes, but guys, like wins should be coming sometime this year, next year. Probably not this year. Next year, hopefully. But House of the Dragon is coming. So the long night, there's like some light at the end of this long night tunnel. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the pictures, but looks like it's gonna be good to me. They're filming. There are Valyrians everywhere. It's like I just seen blonde wigs all over the place. And then there was like even like a picture of a baby Valyrian that looked just like Draco Malfoy from
Oh my god.
I saw that. With the little cape, I was just like, I don't hate that child. I already hate the character. Ridiculous. Yeah, I really appreciate that we are sticking blonde wigs on everybody, because that can, not that I want to get it into it too much because Ara and I are both mixed women and we have whole discussions about how we're tired of explaining our existence to people who clearly just don't want to see Black people on television. But the blonde wigs are there. They might do the purple eyes. Y'all can shut the fuck up now. Like, that's my only piece I'm going to say because I'm tired of this conversation. I've had it too much.
Love you so much.
All I know is I'm ready to see a lot of dragons. Like, we got 3 nice looking dragons. Now we're about to have like 20 dragons. So it's insane.
Did you see the concept art? Okay. That made me so mad. I'm like, what do you mean concept art? You already had a whole fucking show with dragons. What is this? Like, what do you mean concept?
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to see. Speaking of concept art, I cannot wait to see Vhagar. Like, oh god,
Vhagar, yes. And is it
like even Drogon's impressive? Oh my goodness.
Is it ever described what color Vhagar is? Because I was looking for that and I didn't see it anywhere what color Vhagar is.
Well, it's insinuated that by the time of the Dance of the Dragons, you know how like dogs, when they get to be about 11 through 15, their whiskers are just white around here. You know, it might be that way with dragons because I believe it was Aemond refers to Vhagar. No, someone in the Blacks refers to Vhagar as that hoary old bitch. Whore being like hoarfrost. So there's this insinuation that she might be like silver to white. Yep, but that might happen with age. Who knows? But there's no record of. You know, Aemond did not deserve Vhagar. That pisses me off so much that he. It's like being handed a Lamborghini and just like Dukes of Hazzard that shit.
Oh my god, such a spot on analogy. But back to Jon. So,
I actually have a question for you guys about Jon.
Sure.
When he wakes up, do you think we're gonna have, like they did in the show, we're gonna have that like revenge scene? He's just gonna fuck people up from the Night's Watch that killed him?
I think Bowen Marsh is gonna be smashed by 1-1's foot. Like I feel like 1-1's really gonna flip out because 1-1 and Jon have a good relationship, and when he realizes what the hell just happened, I feel like they're gonna be taken care of before Jon even wakes up.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Is like if it goes down how I think it's going to go down, there's not going to be anyone left for Jon to like get his revenge on, because I feel like everyone's just gonna explode afterwards. Like the free folk and Stannis' people are gonna be like, what the fuck did you guys just do? But if there is someone left and they do somehow hang on to power, do you think we're gonna get that, like he's gonna like hang everyone or chop their heads off? Or
well let's look at who on the wall. Let's look at
Sir
who on
Alex
the wall
comes back. He's like, you know what? I don't even like you. Just hang him, just because.
Right? Even if he wasn't involved, just fucking kill him.
I think he does need to set like pretty early on. We need to see the difference in him. So we need to see what I feel like he's gonna do some wild shit.
Well, here's the deal. Who is left at the wall who has that kind of power? Because there are parts of me that are like, okay, Selyse is not going to be happy as much as she was a Karen to Jon. Jon was the dude she talked to. She is not going to be happy about the fact that all chaos is like all hell is breaking loose. Melisandre is definitely gonna, I mean, they still refer to her as the queen. Oh, Sanry. I just got super distracted by everything I was doing. I love you, Mal.
When we get to Daenerys, Sanry's coming on to do the Daenerys episode with us.
But so I can see Mel kind of maybe calling shots a little bit, but I can also see the wildlings kind of trying to deal with it. Like there's got to be, I don't know, like there's got to be someone left that's like, hey, guys, there's going to be some carnage before someone decides like, put them up, put the swords up. Hey, you know, we didn't know.
Yeah.
But,
I really want to just see 1-1. Anyway, all right, I'm so fake. I just started watching Invincible like a couple days ago, but yeah, I want 1-1 to Battle Beast, if you guys are familiar with Invincible. So long story short, there's this character, it's this big old beast-like. You can compare him to 1-1 because it's like a giant, and he literally just goes ape shit on a bunch of people and just starts like smashing them up like in a rage. And I need 1-1 to do that to Bowen Marsh and all the rest of those little traitors. Like I want to see some Hulk flinging Loki around, action happening. Like I need like no, they need to pay for that. And I believe Melisandre and Tormund and Selyse together as a unit can hold enough weight to get them taken care of.
I'll be so happy when Bowen Marsh bites it.
Oh, me too.
Straight up. I'll be so happy. I would like to see so I was thinking, didn't John send Gren? He sent Gren and Pip to Eastwatch or to Shadow Tower?
He sent them to one of the castles that they're renovating, and he sent Ed away to Long Barrow. Ed came back, and then he sent Ed away again with the girl hostages from the wildlings.
Do you think he gets them before he goes?
Get to
Gren and Pip.
No, because they're still part of the Night's Watch, and he'd be asking them to abandon their post, I think.
And he knows that they need men at the wall.
That's true. They do need men at the wall.
So, I think he'll take some wildlings.
That makes sense. Do you think that John has any more interactions with the White Walkers and wins?
Well, I don't think he had interactions with them in any of the books. I think that was kind of like a show thing. Hardhome was definitely a highlight of season 5, one of the only. We won't go there, but that was a masterpiece. But I think he might have seen them from afar at Craster's Keep or something.
The Fist.
There was the...
No, he was away
from the Fist. He was away from the Fist.
Yeah, he was in the Crossfangs.
Yeah.
I would say he had interactions with whites, with like Jafer Flowers and Othor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's seen the others yet.
But like the White Walkers, I don't think he's had any interactions. But I could see I think Dream of Spring, I really am one of those firm believers the walls are coming down to at least the end of Winds. Mm-hmm. And I think once that happens, just because there's so much happening in the north and John has to bring everybody together, I don't see him going back north of the wall just yet when he's really needed down south right now.
Yeah.
Right? So much needs to happen before any of that can even begin to happen. That I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I don't think the wall comes down. And I don't think he meets Danny and wins either.
I have a funny question for you guys. Does John lead a pack of people north of the wall for a white hunt?
Oh, Jesus, God, no.
No.
Just like causing trouble.
Hell no.
I think there's a possibility he might go north again, but it's not going to be just to go get a white to bring it to Cersei. There might be, I don't know. He might try to maybe he'll have a dream. Maybe while he's in Ghost, he'll be convinced he saw Bran up north and think I got to go up north to get my brother or some crap like that. Like there will be a purpose that goes beyond that fuckery we saw a few years ago.
Now that you say that, I could see that happening if Ghost has seen, because I mean, the wolves themselves are linked to each other. And that's how Bran feels like he has seen, or at least knows that his siblings, meaning the wolves, are safe, is because the wolves all kind of feel each other. So if Summer did feel Ghost nearby, and Ghost felt Summer nearby, then John, while in Ghost, would know that Bran was there. Mm-hmm. And I could see him maybe going to help bring him down the rest of the way because, Hodor happened. Right. And someone earlier said Hodor is going to be a white, and I'm just like, God damn, that would be terrifying. But anyways, I can see him maybe going on a short excursion to help bring Bran the rest of the way. I don't know that Bran will feel the need to make it through the Night Fort again. I think that he would just go straight for Castle Black, knowing what he knows now and everything happening as it's happening now. I think he would just go straight for Castle Black. So I can see that happening. But no, not to collect White to, give Jamie another option for a hand.
I just thought of something. I'm not sure if we talked about it when I had my tech issue. What about Hardhome? Is he still going there?
I think Hardhome's.
So,
There's
He's,
not going to be
like,
anything
over
left of Cotter Pike by the time anyone gets there.
Melisandre's like, all of them are dead. Don't go.
Yeah, I
Hardhome
hope
is a
so.
lost
Everybody
cause.
kept telling him not to go, and he was trying to send Tormund and them to go, and I'm like, please don't go.
Something always comes up because first he was like, Cotter Pike, check it out. And Cotter Pike's like, oh, this shit's going cray.
That thing's in the water.
By the way, I got 6 ravens left, you fuckhead. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to go. And then he was like, okay, Tormund's going to go. Tormund kind of has his hands full because Tormund is a leader amongst the wild things. I mean, Tormund tried to be king beyond the wall before Mance earned his respect. Essentially, I think that with everything going on, we talked about this earlier, like the alliance between the Night's Watch and the wild things right now, I don't even know if it exists anymore unless Leathers can do some magic and be like, hey, it wasn't all of us. Anyway, but I mean, like, Tormund's going to have to stay behind to help pick up the pieces. Unless, I don't know, Jon might come back after those 3 days and be like, did I not give you instructions? Or he might just be like, well, I got other things to do. Do you want to come? So, because Tormund will have mad respect for Jon. If he comes back from the dead, he's probably going to be like, I'll go where you go. Your eyes aren't blue.
God.
Let's do this.
Oh, I know.
So,
we have a super chat from Miss Behaves. Thank you for the super chat, Miss Behaves. Mad I missed the last live. Wanted to point out Jon didn't just warg and get stuck. His body was violated and needs resurrection. Ghost doesn't have to die. I agree. He doesn't have to die. I actually hate that theory.
As you were reading that, I read a comment that said, why does Tony Teflon always say Ghost has to die? Because he's hateful.
Because he's being mean. He wants to hurt our feelings.
He's a bully. He's the bully big brother. Like, so their podcast, they call our podcast the sister. DireWolfCity is their sister podcast, and they're our brother podcast. And Tony's a bully for saying that Ghost has to die, especially when he knows how much we love him.
I think that's part of, like, I think he genuinely believes it, but I think it's why he's so insistent about it, because he knows we're going to be like, no, Sharkeisha.
Don't do it, Gina.
No, Gina. It's okay. They don't get that one.
So, yeah, true. So, Danny, Jon and Danny and Wins?
No.
No, I don't even see Danny touching on Westeros till Dream of Spring.
Same.
Yeah.
Really? Dream?
If not the very
she
end.
has so much to do to get over there.
She's still
figure
having a miscarriage in the middle of the grass. She's a mess.
Doing a lot right now. Yeah, she just got picked up by the Dothraki, and I think the show did get that a little bit right with her being brought all the way to Vice Dothrak, and then doing something to take over the calls, and then kind of getting all them together, and then going back the other way. So it's like she still has to get it. It's gonna be a couple chapters of her traveling over there, her there, then having to come all the way back to Marine, settle all that, tie that up in a nice little knot, get all her ships together, and then head to Westeros. And it's not gonna be like the show where it's like season 6, she's
just happily
on her way, and then by episode 1, she's already landed. Like, George is gonna give us the journey.
Like
sailing
like,
over.
Look at
so
Sam.
It's gonna take forever.
True.
Look how long it took Sam to get to
in
fucking
Bravos
Old Town.
he was in Bravos doing bumfuck whatever.
Yeah, running into Arya and
then
whatnot.
sitting on Dorne for fucking three chapters.
You think George ain't gonna stop Danny and Lise for watering?
Well, and there's so much going on in the Stepstones too with the Rain Waters. Like, there's pirates everywhere. Fucking Salador San's down there. Like, there's a lot they have to work through before they even come close to Dragonstone.
Not only that, but she's got to contend with Victarion if he gets around to meeting her. Which I can totally see him not even getting that far.
Right.
I can't
Get
wait to
lost in
talk
a
about that
double
idiot.
rails.
Oh god. Marwyn the Mage is on his way there.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I want to see the dynamics between her and Tyrion. So there's
All of that. She's busy.
so much going on.
This is a
Yeah.
good time to ask the chat what region you want us to cover next. So you could say King's Landing. King's Landing would be Cersei. Who else is in King's Landing?
Cersei.
Oh,
Cersei.
the whole thing with like Marjorie, the trial.
Oh
all
yeah,
that stuff
Marjorie,
going
the
on.
trial.
The
The Tyrells.
the aftermath of Kevin Lannister and Grand Maester Pycelle's death.
Yeah.
That's going to be a huge thing. Oh, spoiler alert if you didn't get that far.
Now, if you say Essos, then that means we covering Tyrion and Arya and Dany.
Fair.
Anybody? Victarion.
I'm going to be very blunt right now. As much as I love Dany so much, I'm not ready to cover Essos. Which I just realized I sound like a bully. Like, I'm going to let you guys decide, but just know right now I'm not in the mood. I'm not.
Okay.
I did that for the last 3 weeks with Stannis. Do it, girl.
You can also pick the Stormlands or the Dornish lands. So I would just say you can pick the east.
Too.
You can pick the
Riverlands.
east.
Yeah.
Oh, the river. Oh, there's a lot going on in the Riverlands because you got
A lot of
Jaime,
I see the
Brienne.
Vale. I see Dorne, King's Landing, Stormlands, the Reach. They want us to save Dany for the finale. Cersei.
I can see. Oh, maybe we should just move through Westeros and then save Essos for
Here's I see a lot of people pulling for the Reach. Here's the thing about the Reach.
Who's
that
there?
would really only take us a week. Oh no, Sam's there. We don't have a lot. Oh, never. What am I smoking?
Sam's the only one there. Who else is there?
Euron is on his way. I mean, we covered the Euron.
Well, we did,
stuff.
yeah.
Well, we'll still cover Euron
Yeah,
on
we
here.
still need to do Euron over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have
There
the
is-
Sphinx.
Who?
The Sphinx, which I think we should talk about.
The Sphinx.
Oh, yeah.
We gotta talk about
Nice.
Arianne.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Fagon. I cannot wait to talk
Shield
about
Islands. There's a
Fagon.
lot.
Darkstar.
Oh, I love Darkstar.
You said
We
that,
have
and
so
I
much to
know
go through.
Stan Rixian is out there right now getting a lady boner.
The Reach is boring right now. All right, so how about we don't let you guys pick and we pick the next episode, which we'll just go down the map.
Why
Just
don't you
work our
just
way down.
narrow it down to 2 regions that they get to choose from?
Okay, you guys pick 2.
Okay.
What are we working our way down? Because then it would be the Riverlands or the Vale.
The Riverlands or the Vale?
I'm excited for the Riverlands. So
Can we
I
make
vote.
that like maybe one big thing? Because of Vale, I feel like we just have Sansa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We can
true.
include the Vale in the Riverlands.
Okay, so the Riverlands and Vale, or
The
The-
Reach.
Reach.
Which is also just one point of view.
So we do a
Euron
Reach
and
and
Sam.
yeah.
There's 2.
Wait,
Euron and Sam.
sorry, I'm thinking out loud. We would lump Dorne and like the Stormlands together because they're kind of really intertwined right now. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm
Well,
just
we can
thinking.
say that.
There's a
out
lot
loud.
going on in the Stormlands.
There's a lot going on in Stormlands.
Yeah.
Yeah, like John Con
Because
and that whole
Fagon
great
and John
thing.
Con.
Why don't we save Stormlands for why don't we save the regions that take a whole, the more intricate ones, save it for later.
I think
Because-
they want
Okay.
the Riverlands. They
Yeah.
want the
Yeah, there's a
River.
lot of Riverlands. Oh,
I think we
Riverlands.
should do the Riverlands and the Vale too. I think we should work our way down.
That
think
means we're
Riverlands
gonna
and
be
Vale would be
doing
fun.
Jamie, Lady
Yeah,
Stoneheart.
Yes. That's what I want to. Vote for the
Sansa.
Riverlands, chat.
Right,
I'm
now
not
they're
a
going to the Reach.
version. Y'all might
Okay,
be offended.
okay. I want to do a giveaway. We're gonna do a giveaway.
Yes.
So yeah, we're gonna ask you a trivia question. There will be 2 winners. There are 2 questions. The way it works is whoever answers the question right first, you will direct message on Twitter. Rod said he feels like he's in a Zoom meeting. Well, we want to do what you guys like. gosh. We're asking for your input. Okay. So I'm gonna ask the question and then you give the answer. Whoever answers correctly first, I'll say you won. And if you won, you're gonna direct message Nim on Twitter at NimShadow and give her your info and get your prize, which is a DireWolfCity t-shirt or Amazon gift card, whatever you want, whichever one you choose. Okay, so everybody ready? Fire emojis in the chat if you're ready. Fire emojis in the chat if you're ready. Okay, I see fire emojis coming. All right. Okay. The first question is about Jon Snow. When Maester Aemon leaves the wall, he leaves Jon Snow a book. What is the title of the book?
I wish we had the Jeopardy music to play.
Near, near,
We got one.
We got it.
C-Bob.
We got it?
See,
We got it.
C-Bob. Hit up. Where'd it go? Right here. C-Bob. Hit up NimShadow on Twitter.
Someone said
Twitter or
50 Shades of
Instagram.
Grey.
50 Shades of Grey.
See, Bob, you can message me on Instagram or Twitter at NimShadow. Whatever social media you have, I will respond to both. And very well done.
Good job. Good job, C-Bob. Round of
Tokus
applause for
420.
C-Bob.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Tokus 420 said How to Train Your Dragon. I'm dying.
How to Train Your Dragon.
The Adventures of Duncan A.
Okay, so the second question is not about Jon. It's not about A Song of Ice and Fire. It is about House of the Dragon, Fire and Blood, The Dance of Dragons. All right. If you're ready, let me see some fire emojis.
You shut your mouth, Adri. I see you over there.
Nim, you didn't say go.
Because it
All
feels
right.
like trivia night in the Discord server.
Yeah, they do this in my Discord server, guys. They have a trivia night, like a Jeopardy style.
We do, and there's gifts every month. So if you want to come hang out and do some trivia with us, also send me a DM on Instagram or Twitter, and I will get you an invite.
Okay, here's the second question. One of the daughters of Daemon Targaryen and Laena Velaryon was named Baela Targaryen. What was the name of her dragon?
Go.
Make me proud.
I feel like this one's pretty easy.
Is it?
So hopefully we'll get a lot of people that are just like ding, 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 ding.
Is that
I know
easy?
a lot of people
I
knew
think so.
Jade Compendium, and I was surprised.
Yeah.
Some said Jadinium.
Smaug. I love it. Smaug.
Sunfire Morning. I don't see it yet. I didn't think it was easy.
Okay. We don't see it yet. I just realized.
Your IQ is just really high. Alicia.
Sorry. Well, no, because I looked over and I realized the more tired I get, the more it looks like I have a lazy eye. So I keep feeling it like lag. Someone got it.
Silverwing, right?
No.
Mictro.
Mictro got
Yes,
it.
Moon Dancer.
Moon
Oh,
Dancer.
Moondancer.
It's a typo, but it's it.
Yeah, he corrected it. Or
Okay.
he or she, don't want to assume. Moon Dancer is correct. Hit up at NimShadow on Twitter or Instagram. She'll take care of you. And yeah, that was a little trivia for you guys, a little giveaway, give back. I appreciate you guys for coming and hanging out with us every Friday night to talk about wins. Before we get off of here, I want you to plug your new video.
Hey, y'all.
Amazing video.
Right. Oh, thank you. You guys can go over to my YouTube channel, I Eat Zebra, like it is on all platforms. My first video is up. I go in and with two of my best friends, and we sort the characters from Snowfall into what we would think their Hogwarts houses would be. It's pretty funny. Also, if you haven't seen Snowfall, not too many spoilers ahead, which is nice in the video. And I definitely highly recommend you watch it. It can be found on FX and or Hulu. There's only 4 seasons. Season 4 just wrapped up last week. So you have plenty of time to catch up before the new season starts next year. So I highly, highly suggest you watch it. Also, and go to my channel while you're at it. Thanks.
Yes, check out her channel. Subscribe to her. I watched her sorting the Snowfall characters into Harry Potter houses. And then I started watching Snowfall, and I'm 3 episodes in, and I totally recommend. Like, I feel like if you like shows like The Wire, you will like Snowfall. And Alicia, what have you got going on?
This. Okay. Life. It's just,
Okay, Mandy, what do you have going on? Alicia, mute yourself.
So right now in the Discord server, we are right in the middle of a tourney. We are 2 weeks in. We still have 2 more weeks of games and prizes. And I, of course, am always scheduling for the Obsidian Nights podcast. So if you want to be a guest on Gray's podcast, please send me a DM on Instagram or Twitter at Nim's Shadow. And yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome. So a lot of people ask me, or in the comments, they're always like, what's Alicia's channel? What's Mandy's channel? So they don't have channels. I've been trying to not make them, but I've been trying to convince them that they should have channels. But we are all working on a project together. Alicia doesn't want to talk about it until we actually do it.
Yeah, it's not that I don't have things in the works. It's just that I'm one of those people where I don't like to talk about what I'm going to do. I like to talk
right
about
now,
what's
it's Fight Club.
Yeah.
Fight Club?
We don't talk about Fight Club.
Don't talk about it.
Yeah. So
it's
happening,
claymation.
though. It's exciting and it's happening. It's just not ready yet.
it's gonna be great. Speaking, I mean, it's an offline conversation, I suppose, but we probably need to get going on that.
Yeah.
Just a little, okay.
Little nudge. So
the sisterhood without channels. Fuck you. I love you.
So I want to thank you guys for coming. Everyone in the chat, you guys are always showing us love. It like more people each and every week. We're gonna rock this thing. We're doing all the Winds of Winter chapters. We have plans to like hit up House of the Dragon directly after the episode. So once that episode airs, we'll be on here talking our best shit. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I appreciate you guys. And I guess we're in the Riverlands next.
Yeah,
Yes.
Riverlands in the Vale.
Riverlands in the Vale, which we're doing together. So you guys get to pick Jamie, Lady Stoneheart, or Sansa.
Well, what about Brienne? Do we give her
Or-
own little? I don't
or
know where that
Brienne.
accent come from, but Brienne.
Or Brienne. If you want Sansa, put the middle finger in the chat. It's like,
Girl, stop.
Lemon. Put a lemon if you want Sansa.
yeah, if you want Sansa, put
That's
a lemon.
better. A lemon.
It's a lot
Lemon.
nicer.
Just
If
put a
you want
middle
Jamie,
Put a middle finger because he doesn't have a hand to give.
no.
A lion.
If you want Jamie, put a lion. If
No,
you
a
want
hand.
Lady Stoneheart, put the black heart emoji.
Wow, you hate this woman.
Oh wait, what about Brienne?
Oh,
I
someone
just
put
keep
a
bringing her up.
zombie. I'm pretty sure that's
Oh
Stoneheart.
wait, can we give Brienne a diamond because she's from Sapphire
Okay,
Isle?
if you want Brienne, the diamond.
Okay, can we establish what Jamie means? Because I see hands, I see lions.
Jamie's a lion.
Jamie's a lion.
Can we put
Lion.
Stoneheart as the
There's a
zombie?
lot of
I
black
forgot
hearts.
there's a
Yeah, there
I forgot there's a zombie emoji.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
got to
what
be
we should've picked.
Stoneheart. Yeah.
So
Reminds me
that's
of that Cranberry song.
it looks like it's gonna be Stoneheart, like just from right now. But we also take into consideration the comments of the people that watch on rewatch. because they come and watch it on rewatch and leave their comments. So we'll give it a couple days and we'll let you know who we're covering. It looks like it's going to be Lady Stoneheart or Jamie. I don't see hardly no lemons.
I see.
We do have a super chat before we go.
Oh, a super chat.
Josh Grape says, thank you for another great stream. Gray, Nim, Ara, and Alicia. One love.
One love, Josh. Thank you.
We love you.
Always showing us a lot of love. We appreciate you.
That is true.
Yes. Yes.
Appreciate all of you guys.
All of
everyone.
you.
Everyone
All of
around
you.
the world that's here. Could be anywhere
Spending your
tonight, but you're
Friday
here with
with
us.
Oh, yeah. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. All right, guys. We're signing off. It's been almost 2 hours. It's been 2 hours and 45 minutes. And it looks like it's going to be Lady Stoneheart, but we will double check. If it's Lady Stoneheart, it's going to be tea. Hot piping tea. I feel like Jamie and Lady Stoneheart and Brienne are all tied together.
What's the pretzel? Sorry. Oh, I'm
yeah, but Brienne has this whole other adventure before very off page we see her with Jamie. So
yeah,
you know.
All right, guys. Good night. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
We love you most days.
Bye.
Love you so much every day, Alicia.
All the days.
She's so unruly.